wants to be with you.
I'm the one.
Deep inside, I hope you feel it too.
Feel it too.
Waiting on the line up. Waiting on the line. Yeah, just to be the fuck with that host this podcast.
Oh, fuck.
No, that's a winner.
That's a winner.
That's a classic. That one
That
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great song.
Just listen to that
We
instead.
used to do that in karaoke. In Japan.
You know, actually, that they're a bit more known as a really soft hard rock band, Mr. Big, because I was looking them up on Spotify the other day, and that's their best known ballad. They're more of a glamour ballad, hard rock kind of band.
Yeah.
This Mr. Big.
They're a great karaoke band.
Well, that was their biggest hit, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It was their only hit.
that's right.
Sure, they had something else.
No, they
think of it
didn't.
off
No one can remember.
No.
if you can't think of it, no one can.
Dude, I went through the back catalogue. They don't have much. That was probably their best song.
Sorry, Mr. Big, if you're listening.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Big. He's now
Trust me, they're not.
He's now Mr. Despair, like my Mr. Men books that got fucked in the 80s and the 90s. But that's another story. This is Invert the Why, the only podcast on the internet sponsored by their mother and powered by the love of fairy bread. And we've got him back.
I actually like fairy
I could
bread.
afford Skittles this week, so we've got Pete back.
We've got
Hey!
Pottery Pete back, and I'll tell you what, he's come fresh out of rehab because I was worried about you, Pottery Pete. You were definitely doing the Skittles and the bowl of Coke like Stevie Nicks from the 70s, demanding all sorts of shit, and I'm not having it. But I'm glad to see you back. And I'll tell you what, I'm glad to see you back, and I welcome you with, as Creed would say, arms wide open.
Wide open.
Under the sunrise.
I've just been busy renovating. What can I say?
I know, but it's good to have you back.
Oh, cheers.
Do you like what we've done with the set?
It's getting more crowded every
There's,
time.
there's more and more shit.
I don't know if it's a good idea having all these toys in front of me. All you're going to hear is creaking toys.
No,
as I play
that
with
was
them
half
the
the
whole
fun.
time.
Yeah.
And I'm joined as always by my brother in arms, Jason Relaxation.
Yep.
How you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right.
How was your week?
Week was interesting. So the Tooth Fairy had to come this week.
Huh?
Now, I'm a really fucking shit parent. There's the first F-bomb for the day.
Oh, listen now. Okay. I have been remiss in my duties as host of this podcast.
Because we haven't actually told Pottery Pete about
No,
this.
we haven't, but I tell you what, we're going to fuck him up. That's 2 F-bombs. Pottery Pete, we are aware of our potty mouths, and Mum is not impressed. But I tell you what, today is a good cause. Because for every F-bomb that we say, we've got a swear jar. So every F-bomb we say is $1. That goes into the swear jar. And that swear jar, the money in that swear jar at the end of this episode 9, which is this podcast episode 9.
Fuck me.
Can you believe it? That's $3. Every dollar goes to the Melanoma Institute of Australia for their Melanoma March held on March 17th, raising money for the good folks at the Melanoma Institute of Australia. So they're raising money at the moment to try and find a cure for this shit. They're very, very close. I think they'll
very
do
close.
it.
They're
I think
all
they'll do it.
Yeah.
But they just need a bit more support. And if anything, I think we should really support the lovely, wonderful doctors and nurses that work there and everybody that works there. So rest assured, folks.
Let's be honest. We don't have any skills that are valuable to them.
No.
So
None.
So the
I've
only.
got a mole that's really itchy at the moment.
Oh, fuck, you should get
You
that
get that
looked
shit
at.
checked.
That's $4.
No, fuck. So the
$5.
The only way we know how to make money is by using our potty mouths.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else. I've got a team. Invert the Y is a team for the Melanoma March. And at the moment, we're sitting third as the highest fundraiser in Western Sydney. That is no bullshit. And I tell you what, we're going to knock off a few people.
Which is
by the end of
amazing
this.
because we only have 3 listeners.
Yeah, we've got 2 listeners, and they don't give a fuck. That's $5. That's $6. Now, I'll tell you something else, right? By the end of this podcast, we'll be number 1 because we can't help ourselves. We try and restrain ourselves from saying the F word, but we can't do it.
But it makes me feel good because I'm doing something positive.
Today, I feel like it's good. And you know what? I told Mum in the week, and she goes, "Oh, that's nice," because she said she says, "Oh,
For once, she's okay with our potty
she's okay.
mouths.
She's okay with it because she says,
makes her
she says,
justify
I
it to your
want
mother.
to. She says, I want to listen to the podcast because
No, don't.
she says, such and such listen to the podcast and they think it's quite funny. And I said, Mum, don't listen to it. And she says, why are you saying things about me and your father?
Fucking oath we are.
And I said, no. I said we are, but it's justified because it all happened. You
It was
know
all
what I
true.
mean?
Yeah, what
And I
about
said-
that ladder? Yeah.
Well, that's a little fucking story there, but that's another story. But listen, but it's good to have you back on Pottery, Pete. And this is just so you know, when you do say the F-bomb, it's going to a good cause.
I'm probably
Okay.
not that inclined.
We're number 3 on the chart. They've got on their website, by the way. They've got the rankings.
Mm-hmm.
We'll
We'll post that.
We'll post it. We're 3rd, right? But I think by the end of the episode, we'll just
first.
smash it to number 1 because we can't help ourselves.
Yep.
And if you don't want to donate, or if you do want to donate, it's on the Facebook page.
It'll be everywhere. I'll put it everywhere.
I think it is on the Facebook page. Yeah,
Yep, it's definitely on the Facebook
Yeah,
page.
so-
It's on all over the shop.
so
mate.
check it out. It is for a good cause. All jokes aside, I think we should try and support people like that. But anyway, let's get on with episode number 9. You're a bad tooth fairy, you said.
Yeah, I'm a fucking horrible tooth fairy. So during the week, my son lost a tooth, and sort of make the story a bit shorter. It took me 3 or 4 nights to get around to actually giving him the money for it. the reason,
Wait, so it's under the pillow for 3 nights.
yeah, pretty much.
So wait, he's waking up and it's still there.
Yeah, he's waking up. It's still there,
thinking there's a backlog.
Mate, he's well. So we got around it by saying, well, you know what, mate, your room's too messy. The tooth fairy obviously can't.
Oh, that's dirty.
Yeah, the tooth fairy obviously can't find. And the reality is, I just forgot. So by the time I go to bed and by the time I've sort of shut down for the night, my brain is off, and I completely forgot.
It reminds me, this is a mini RAM. It's not the RAM, just as you said that. Now, when we were kids and we were losing our teeth, this is a cracking story because the old man would say, listen, stop being a pussy, because one of my teeth wouldn't come out, right? And he said, don't be a pussy, let's get it out. And you get a bit of fishing line,
Oh,
and he'd tie it to your tooth and he'd pull it with his hand, but it wouldn't come out.
Stick it on the fucking door.
So he'd stick it on the door handle, and I'm
Yeah.
not bullshitting, he'd shut the door, right? And then you'd hope the fuck that your tooth would come out. But on one occasion, this is no bullshit, he says, stop being a pussy. So he got the fishing line and he tied it to my tooth, and he tied it to the door handle, and he shut the door as much as he could, and the tooth wouldn't come out. And then he says, oh fuck, that could be a problem. And the next thing you know, that's no bullshit. Next thing you know, Mum's taken me to the dentist, and the dentist went, yeah, you need to get that surgically removed, and I had to get it cut out. That's no bullshit. But he tried to get it off the door with a door handle, and it wouldn't come out.
Well, home-based surgery was quite common in our house because I remember having an ingrown toenail at one point. So Dad pulled out I don't even think it was a scalpel. It was just some random knife from the kitchen.
Oh,
And he dug into my foot like a motherfucker.
yeah. He loves that stuff. He loves it.
He
He
loves
loves.
I haven't got the picture in my head yet. So the fishing line gave up, the door gave up, or you got jerked across the room?
I got jerked across the room. My head went with a fishing line because it wouldn't come out. So he shut the door, and the fishing line obviously went with it, but the tooth stayed in my head. So I flew across the room. You can imagine my despair going to the dentist for the next few years because I had these images of all sorts of things happening. But he shut the door, and the thing kept. I went with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Notice I've not said many F-bombs because I'm
know,
worried about how
disappointed.
much money this is going to cost me.
That's right. There's only a finite amount of my bank account.
I tell you, it's going to be an expensive afternoon because I can't help myself.
No, nice.
But I went with a fishing line and I went with a door and I flew across the room. But that's a mini RAM. That's a mini RAM. That was in, I want to say that was like 1983 or something like that when I was about 8 years old. That's when that sort of happened. I was losing my teeth.
Yeah.
And but I had to go to the dentist and get one cut out. And the dentist went, "Oh yeah, that's not that great." That's like another time I went to the dentist. Oh, what a fuck up! There's $1 there for you, right? I had a wisdom tooth that got impacted, and I went to the dentist and I said, "Look, I've got this pain in the back of my mouth," and she says, "Oh, okay, let me have a look at it." She goes, "Oh, that's not good." I go, "What?" She goes, "Oh, it's infected because what's happened is the gum has grown over the wisdom tooth, and your wisdom tooth looks like it's on an angle." And they took an X-ray, and no bullshit, the That's another $1. The oh, this is going to be a bad
Say it
afternoon. No, that's all for charity. It is like those telethons
Fucking
in the
for
80s.
charity.
We're doing it for the kids.
Doing it for the kids.
And anyway,
So we don't have a fancy dial.
Tooth.
the wisdom tooth was on a 90-degree angle,
Oh.
and what I was actually seeing in the back of my mouth was the actual root of the wisdom tooth. It was that badly impacted, and it was growing into the molar. And she said to me, "Look, that's going to kill your molar, right?" She says, "You're going to have to go to a surgeon. We can't do it here." So I go to a surgeon, and he says to me, "You got a couple of options. I either book you in a hospital and put you under general anaesthetic, and I do it that way, or I I can do it here and give you a local, like I dope you up to the eyeballs, and I cut the tooth into 4 places and I pull it out." And I didn't want to go to hospital, and which is ironic because I'm a veteran now of hospitals, but that's another fucking story. That's another $1.
Had enough
And
of
so anyway,
but you hear and feel.
oh no, this is
yeah.
even more fucked up. That's another $1. Because what happened was the guy got the grinder out,
Yeah.
and I'm in the chair, and he says, "Look, you won't feel a thing,
But you'll hear them.
but you'll hear him,
And you feel the vibration.
You'll know
Yeah.
everything that's going on." And so anyway, I think it was at least 3 or 4 big needles of the anaesthetic before I didn't feel anything anymore.
And the happy gas, probably.
No, I didn't have the happy gas.
Did they give you a...
No, because that was the other option. He said to me, I can knock you out under general in the chair here in the surgery.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but you're not going to be covered by insurance.
No, you got to go to hospital.
Yeah, he said I can do it, but you won't be covered by
Jesus, how would
insurance.
they do the breathing tubes and stuff like that? In
He said he could do it. He said he could do it. He was Dr. Nick.
Dr. Nick.
Hi, everybody. Right? So he says to me, so I took the option of local, right? And then I'm sitting in the dentist chair.
Regretting that
And-
decision.
This is when I would regret the decision, because I'm telling you now, it was a fucking debacle. That's another $1. And he says, I'll get the grinder out, and he's cut the thing into. He's explaining to me what he's going to do. He's going to cut it into
Don't
4
explain
pieces.
it. Just fucking do it.
No, he explained it, and he started pulling out. He goes, "Oh, I can't do it." He goes, "Nurse, can you get whatever the tool was?" And I'm not kidding you. It looked like pliers that I'd find in Dad's shed.
Probably was.
And he's now got into the back of my mouth, and he's wiggling my head, and he says, "Nurse, can you restrain the patient and hold his head?" So the nurse is holding my head. Gets even better. He then puts his knee against my chest,
I was waiting for that.
right?
Yeah.
And he's got his knee against my chest, and then he's got like what I think's Dad's fucking pliers that he's worked on the Gemini with on the weekend.
Probably.
And he's wiggling my head back and forth, right? And I could hear the crack. I heard the crack. And the thing came out of my head. And then he says, "Oh, look, I'm going to put some stitches in, and you'll feel gauze in the back of your mouth for a bit. So don't play with it with your tongue, because the temptation is you play with it with your tongue, right?" And so anyway, I'm like, cool. And I get up, and then the nurse says to me, "Oh, did anyone drive you here?" And I said, "Oh no, I'm Tonka tough, I don't need that bullshit."
Oh, bullshit.
And she's, "Oh no, this is when I was at my fucking most stupid. There's another $1." And she says, "Well, who's going to take you home?" I say, "Oh, it's all right. My mum's not far. She'll pick me up." But that was a lie, right?
You knew very well you were driving yourself
Yeah,
home.
exactly. So I get in the car, which was the Gemini, which is the Ram for today, but that's another story. And I get in the car, and I don't know what made me look, but I looked up at the revision mirror because I wanted to see what had happened to my face, because I literally felt like my face had been carved out of my head.
Your face has been carved out of your face.
But what I saw was like this big golf ball, initially a golf ball, of like this white, my skin had gone like white, And I'm thinking, oh, that's not good. So anyway, they said to me, they gave me a script for Panadol Fort, because they said you're going to need some painkillers.
Is that the best they could do?
That's pretty, yeah. They do better than that.
Well, my night was going to be in a world of fucking pain.
Mate, after my neck, man, I was popping that stuff
No,
like
no,
candy.
no. They gave me Panadol. They gave me Panadol Fort, and here's the best bit.
Pisswick.
Here's the best bit. I'm walking down. Before I got in the car, I'm walking down the street thing, and this is great because I'd put in for 3 or 4 days off for work, because I had the surgery done on a Thursday, and I'd put in for Thursday to be the rest of the day to be off, Friday off, Monday off, and I was going to hope to be back by Tuesday. But here's what happened. So I get in the car, look at my face in the mirror, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good, because my face was blown up into a golf ball already, and it was white. It was a weird ashen-looking white. Anyway, I drove to the pharmacy where I always go and get my stuff at this particular point, and I walked in, and I knew the guy who worked there, the pharmacist, walked in, and he says, "Hi, Retro Dan." That's not actually what he said, but that sounds cooler than what he actually said. Yeah. He goes, "How are you?" And I've gone, "Purr," to say hello. But what actually came out, I went, "Purr," and what came out was blood and all sorts of shit.
Oh.
And he's gone, and he looked, mate, he was really taken aback by this, because then he's gone, "Holy shit, man." He goes, "Have you had some surgery?" And I've gone, because I couldn't, I'm like, right? I was ready to do sign language at this point, because I couldn't talk. I go, And then he says, "Oh, what do you need?" I've handed over the script, and he's gone, "Oh, okay." And a bit like you, he says, "Oh, is that all they've given you?" And I'm like, right? So he gives me the script, and he goes, "Are you all right?" I'm like, But little did I tell him that I was ready to pass out in the pharmacy, but I'm fucking tonka tough. So I got in the mighty Holden Gemini, drove back home, because back then I was living at Mum and Dad's, so it was a bit of a drive from the surgery to Mum and Dad. About half an hour drive. This is no bullshit. And I get home, and Mum takes a look at me, and she's like, "Oh, you've kind of gone a bit weird with the anaesthetic, because I can tell where they've injected it, because your skin's gone all funny. It had gone all like white and a bit weird." And she's gone, "Oh, okay." But I'd taken these Panadol Forts, and they gave you instructions what to do, and I followed these instructions, and I felt literally I was going to be living it easy, because I had a couple of days off work. I was going to play some fucking games. Everything was going to be sweet, right? But then that night, when the painkillers wore off, that Panadol Fort wasn't doing it. 1, 2, 3, nothing was happening. I was in a world of pain, and they used to make you rinse your mouth out with salt water.
Yeah. It stung like hell.
And every time I spat the salt water out, all these red shit would come out, and I had nightmares, because I thought that all my teeth were just rotting in my head. It was fucked up, and I couldn't eat at all. Couldn't open my mouth up. I couldn't open my mouth up, Pottery Pete. I had to get a straw. Mum used to make me fucking stuff, and she used to mash it like broccoli. I drank broccoli through a fucking straw, right? That's how I rolled. I was in real trouble.
What was the musical with the crazy dentist? Was that Little
That was Little Shop of Horrors, yeah. Feed me, Seymour.
Feed me, Seymour. Feed me all
night long.
So what'd you get up to this week, Peter?
Oh, God, renovating. Absolutely painful.
So no pottery this week?
Oh, no.
No pottery?
No, well, I'm trying to make I've made a few, what are those, cookie jars, because the last cookie jar didn't work out.
Can you make me a swear jar?
Yeah, can you make us a swear jar?
The cookie jar's huge. It's actually,
we need a big one. Yeah.
Look, the cookie jar was, I don't know, there's probably about 1 litre worth of content.
We need 1 litre at least.
But
for an
I
episode.
thought that was a bit small for a cookie jar, don't you reckon?
I reckon that's a good swear jar.
Yeah, can you make us a swear jar?
Oh, you can have that one.
Yeah, we'll have it.
Probably that one's the base of it split open, because I didn't compress it right.
Pottery Pete's swear jar.
All right, Pottery Pete's swear jar.
Like, you can't put cookies in it, because the crumbs fall through, and the ants will come up through the
Also, the
crack.
freshness doesn't hold,
which
is the whole concept of the idea of a cookie jar.
We really want a swear jar. Can you make us a swear jar?
Yeah. And it got too hot, so it kind of melted as well. So
you're saying
people don't know this about pottery, but yeah, you can melt it.
You can melt pottery.
You can melt clay. That's no problem.
Is this in your kiln?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Just
It got a little bit too hot.
What you're telling us, it's fucked.
Slightly, yeah.
That's another dollar.
That's our kind of fucking cookie jar.
That's another dollar.
I'm making 2 more. It was meant to be a wedding gift, for someone I used to work with. But
so that's a really shit wedding gift then.
No,
you obviously don't like them.
It's an awesome wedding. I mean, the concept was an awesome wedding gift.
It's the thought.
The end result was The end result was a bit Homer Simpson. Yeah,
it's a bit
weird nails sticking out of it and stuff. So I'm making 2 more, so I'm hedging my bets by having 2 more.
Yeah.
That's like someone asked me this week because it was Valentine's Day this week, wasn't it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, right.
My wife and I didn't actually give a shit.
Yeah.
The 14th, the day before, I think, wasn't it? No, Thursday.
Yeah, it was 14th. There was what's
Thursday.
Yeah. So someone asked me, did I get any Valentine's stuff? And I said,
No, you just went across the driveway.
yeah, no, I didn't. No, I didn't go there. I said I got a dead pig's head on the front of the doorstep.
What?
And someone said, oh, well, at least it's the thought that counts. It's like when I said about the stalker. At least they like you. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
That's just love.
it's just love.
Yeah, you could look at it that way.
You want to hear about my week?
Tell me about your week.
Fucking debacle. That's another one. I'll tell you another one. All right. So the week, the house, the Aquamarine Park is slowly being renovated, but I don't do it myself because I'm a spastic. So I've got these tradies to do it.
There's a
right?
strike.
Right. There's going to be. I tell this Ram story. I'm telling you now. This ain't going up on air. I'm telling you.
No, YouTube will just strike us straight away. That's all right. We get 3 views on YouTube.
Who gives a shit? We got 2 people watching this shit. I don't care. So anyway, the guy that comes in, the 2 of them, one of them, right, is a good bloke, but he's hurt himself, and we're comparing notes on painkillers. That's the first fuck up. And he spends the time showing me.
I'm not sure if he's focused at this point.
No, he's probably not, and that's why this shower's going to be another fucking debacle.
Quality Western Sydney tradesman.
But here's the best bit. He sits on my stairs and he says, "Hey, come and have a look." And he's showing me pictures like the maid lady on his phone. And then I showed him the maid lady. We compared notes, and he's quite impressed with the maid lady. And so he's like, "Well, have a look at this one." Whilst his apprentice is upstairs ripping and the apprentice, he's a beast. He's an absolute beast, the apprentice, right? Because he's ripping the walls out. Like, he's going nuts in the shower. He's ripping the walls out because they've got to remove the tiles. They've got to remove the floor. The floor, it's fucked.
Everything from scratch.
Right?
Yeah.
Everything from scratch, right? So right now I've got a hole in the ground, basically. Yeah. And they're ripping the tiles out. Anyway, the first one, the older one, who's showing me the pictures of maid ladies on his phone, says, "Oh, look, I got a phone call. I got to go out and pick tiles up from down the road. I'll come back in an hour and a half." And I said, "Well, listen, is your mate going to be all right?" He goes, yeah, he's fine. He's got drinks. He's got coffee. He's got whatever he wants. He knows what to do. He's good. Okay, cool. So he left his little offsider alone for a little bit. And about half an hour after he goes, I hear this. "Hey, mister, can you come here, please?" And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, he's found like termites nests or something in the walls. Because that's happened in my apartment block. They've found in other apartments that have had showers removed, they've found termites behind them. And
the moisture.
And it's been a fucking debacle, I'm telling you now. So I'm thinking, oh, what's he found, you know? Like, I know he's ripped out the walls because he's taken the walls down the stairs. And I've got to remind everybody here, this guy is an absolute beast. I couldn't believe how much of a beast this guy. He was literally peeling the tiles off with his fingertips. He didn't need any fucking tools. Oh, Pottery Pete, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. He was literally grabbing the fucking tiles with his hands and pulling them off. He didn't need tools. He was a beast. And then all of a sudden I hear this, "Hey, mister." And I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And he's this absolute beast of a unit. He told me he weighed 150 kilos, this bloke. And he's not fat. He's all muscle. And he's standing there like a little girl. Oh, I'm not kidding. Because he's found a nest of cockroaches. And he's gone, "Hey, do you have any more tea? Because I found cockroaches and I don't like them." And I said to him, "You're an absolute fucking beast."
Man, the fuck up.
I go, "You scared of cockroaches?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't like them, man." He goes, actually, he went like this. He goes, "I don't like them, bro." And I said, "Well, listen, mate. You wait till your fucking offsider comes because I can't wait to tell him." He goes, "Oh," you know what he said? "Oh, please, man, please don't tell him." I said, "Well, I'll tell you what, make sure the invoice is at a reasonable price and I won't say shit."
I
Right?
don't think the apprentice has anything to do with that.
So anyway, the offsider comes back after, this is the best bit. I said to him, "Well, I've got some more team, but don't worry, it's organic shit. Won't hurt you," which is a fucking lie, right? So this guy has literally gone through a can of Mortine, and I said, "Mate, that's not going to kill cockroaches. They're indestructible.
Yeah.
This is the way you kill them." And
the only thing you can get them is some Scotch
and I grabbed
guard.
my Adidas size 8 because I'm a beast as well. I'm a size 8. I'm a fucking beast. So I grabbed, I'm a
Huge.
beast. And oh yeah, that's what they say, the ladies. They call me Mega Drive. Retro Dan, he's so retro, we call him Mega Drive. Yeah, not really. More like fucking Diddy Kong or something. That's another story. That's one of my dating lady prowess stories, but I won't say that right now. We'll get ruled demonetized. And so anyway, he's literally gone through a can of Mortine, and I said, no, don't do that. And I've got him a size 8 Adidas, and I said, this is what you do. Bang! You beat him over the head. And he goes, I don't even want to get that close to him. And I'm like, this guy's not kidding. He's no joke. And so I guess the master, what do you call the senior tradie, the plumber?
He's boss.
He comes, the boss, and he goes, how did he go? I said, mate, he's an absolute beast, this bloke, but I'll tell you what, he's the biggest pussy when it comes to fucking cockroaches. And he says, what do you mean? Well, have a look at him. He's standing on the edge of the fucking bedroom. He won't go anywhere near. He hasn't been near the shower in over a half an hour. And the first guy goes, why is that? And I said, because he's scared of fucking cockroaches. I've had to go in the shower. This is no bullshit, Pottery Pete. And I've had to exterminate those cockroaches myself. That's no bullshit. He wouldn't go anywhere near it. And I didn't use Mortine. I used the fucking size 8 Adidas shoe that I have because I'm a beast. And that's how I got rid of him. And only then did he go in. And you know what the guy said? The master apprentice, he goes, or master plumber, he says, harden up, you fuck. Right? And he goes, then the apprentice goes, you don't understand, bro. They were really big. They were flying. And he goes, they all fucking fly. Oh, mate, that was my week.
Easy for a world
and
of
mind you, the cat's going spastic on the kitchen floor at this stage. He's like literally going spastic because he's got this shit in his whiskers and on his tongue.
He's got fucking silicone everywhere.
Oh, he's a fucking idiot.
That ain't good for your health.
Oh, well, he's going to outlive me and the vet, that's for sure.
It would have been funny if the boss came in and said, you got cockroaches? Nah, I'm out of here.
That would have been brilliant. I'm done.
Mate, because he looked at
tools, I'm done.
Everyone's out.
Because I said to him, you know, because a lot of these apprentices that rock up, they're not too good, you know. And so the senior plumber goes, no, he's a good kid. He's a really good kid, and he is. He's actually he worked his ass off. I got to say, he did not stop once for a toilet break like we fucking do with this bullshit podcast. He ploughed through that for about 8 hours, and he took those. The podcast is over, and he took those tiles with his bare hands, with those big gorilla hands, and he ripped that shower. And I couldn't believe it. I've never seen anything like it.
I'm not sure that's adherent to occupational health and safety practices, but that's another.
This stuff's like broken glass.
That's shocking.
Oh, mate, he didn't wear gloves. And then when he did get a chisel, I said to him, "Well, don't you wear a mask or something?" He goes, "No, it's all right."
Yeah, no, it's not.
He's a beast.
This year it is.
Come back in a few years, mate. You're going to be fucked.
Yeah, but I don't care. I want my shower done now. I don't give a fuck what happens in a few years.
Yeah,
I'm all about the now.
Fucking hell.
So that was my week.
Yeah, Jesus.
Anyway.
Oh, so we're all having renovation problems.
Yeah, we are. We are.
Yeah, you're doing it yourself. This lazy fuck, get someone else to do it for
Yeah,
you.
well, I have to because the unit, they want you to have people that are insured and they've got their insurance credentials submitted to the Strata company. Because if you can't just get anyone in because they're not covered by work cover.
Yeah.
So if you get...
How are these guys covered by work cover if he's pulling tiles down without any gloves or any sort
Who
of...
gives a fuck? He's a beast.
And he's not wearing any face protection or
We're
eye
talking about it
protection.
before. Like the old man, he gets a wooden ladder.
Yeah.
He gets up on the roof wearing Ugg boots.
Yep, still does.
He still does it. And he climbs all the way up to the top of the roof, right? And he just goes, oh, that's all right. I'll fix that broken tile. And he just picks up the broken tile without gloves and he throws, and then he says, oh, don't stand anywhere near where I am because I'm going to throw the tile down. That's what used to be the best bit. So as let me tell you a little tiny little ram, because when we were kids we used to get those August winds. They'd really come up and blow.
Yeah, we still do.
We still get them, right?
Yeah.
And they'd blow the roof tiles off.
Jeez,
right?
That's a proper bit of wind.
So the old man would get up there the next day and he'd be wearing Ugg boots and he'd use that wooden step ladder that I'm sure termites have got into, but he didn't give a fuck. And he'd go up on top of the roof. He
loves that ladder.
Right? He loves it. He won't let it go. He like the beta cord. He won't let it go. And so he gets up on the roof, right? And he starts saying, don't stand it, because he'd say to you, hold the ladder. And then when I get up on the roof, move because
out
I'm
of
going to
it.
throw the tiles down. But he'd fucking peg them. They were like, it was like Vietnam. You didn't know where the tiles were going to go, so he just throw them anywhere he wanted to, right? And then when he was doing it, he'd say, "Fucking tradies," right?
Why?
Because he
Why
blamed.
they done it in the
Oh, he
first
blamed.
place.
Let me put it
right. The original job
Yeah.
is rubbish.
right. So
Yes.
I'm going to say it. It's probably going to get cut out. But every Saturday he'd work on Mum's car, which was the Datsun 1000, because it'd always blow a head gasket or something. And he'd be in there and he'd be doing what he had to do on the car. He's very good. He's very, very good. He could have been a mechanic. No bullshit. He's that good. And he'd always fix his own cars unless it got too complicated or he didn't have the tools. Only then
the electrics
would he
and
give it the electrics. He'd give it to somebody to do it.
Our
right?
neighbour at the time.
Our neighbour. He was a mechanic. But even then, he'd get the neighbour to come over and go, "Hey, am I doing it right?" And he'd go, "Yeah, you're doing it right." But every Saturday, because the Datsun 1000 would always have some kind of debacle, he'd be out there and he'd be tightening up something, and then he'd break it. He'd get his hands nicked, and then you hear this, "Fuck!" and he has these,
$1.
and he'd go, "These fucking hands, these fucking cars, fucking Japanese are where they fucking design these cars."
Do these dollars count? Because
Yes.
they're not his dollars.
No.
No,
all
they
these-
count.
fucking count.
They count.
But your dad should be paying those because you're quoting directly, right?
Well, listen, let's go back into what we always go back into, which is the deep, dark recesses of my mind, this ever decaying mind, and talk about another Ram. Will the monkeys be able to roll it?
Yeah, roll it.
Roll it, monkeys! Roll it!
What are you talking about?
I've got a jingle now.
He's got
for
a
the-
jingle.
for the Ram.
Yeah.
There's monkeys.
Yeah, there's monkeys, they do it.
Monkeys.
Oh.
the
We
production
got
monkeys.
audio monkeys. We got rid of you. We didn't think you'd ever
Jeez,
come back.
I'm missing for 1 week.
Yeah.
What happens?
Yeah.
Well, we thought you were bloody heavily involved in all sorts of
we-
stuff, and
we've
we
done-
didn't
I
think
was
you'd ever
just
come
pushing
back.
a wheelbarrow,
Mate,
that's all.
we've done 4 episodes since you were here last.
We're internet superstars. We got T-shirts now. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I'll show you the t-shirts.
Yeah, we
later.
got
I'll
t-shirts.
get you one. I'll
Yep,
get you one.
Yep.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got to get a T-shirt.
That's when you know it's legit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got to get a T. But he got me he got a triple XL.
I got a double XL. I got a triple XL.
It's like a fucking tent. This one,
Trust me, it's not as big as you think it is.
really, it looks really
That's
big.
what she said.
Oh, yeah, I know. That's why they don't call me Mega Drive. Anyway, this one, we might not have a Ram this week because when I tell you this story, you might say we can't do it.
I might cut it.
Yep. But I'm going to tell you anyway. Fuck it. We go back to 1992. So in my little mind, it's a quite recent event, but it's actually 27 years ago.
Because they cut out all
28
the
years
stuff,
ago.
haven't
Yeah.
They've cut out all the other bits.
Yeah.
they? That's all that's left.
So one of the many stories of the mighty Holden Gemini, I used to have Pottery Pete, a TC 1978 Holden Gemini, bright green. I think he'll Google it because we found a picture of it. I had a 4-door. But one day, on this particular day, I think it was because I got my license in 1992 and I got it in July. And so this was obviously around summertime, like November, December, because it was quite hot this particular day. And yeah, that's the one, that's the 2-door, I think, but that's the colour anyway. That one there, yeah, that's it.
All I remember was a bright fucking
Yeah, that's the
green.
colour, but that's a 2-door. Mine was a 4-door, but that's it. That's the model. That's a TC. I'm telling you now.
Beautiful.
They're beautiful, mate. I'm
green
telling you.
meanie.
If I had one now, I'd be really, really happy to have it. Because it actually was quite a good car to drive.
I've reached it down to Jindaboying. It's the sort of car it'd be, mate.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd probably leave it as is, to be honest, because I reckon they look better just left as is. I saw one the other day.
I didn't know they made a station wagon.
Yeah, they did. You know,
Two-door, holy
yeah, you know who had a wagon? Our friend of the show, Phil, had a wagon. He had
Did
a
he?
bright orange one. Yes, he did.
Wait,
because
no back doors. How do you get stuff in and out of the wagon?
No, that's been modified. That's bullshit. That was never like that.
That looks kind of schmick.
That was never like that. They were 2-doors and they were a wagon.
Yeah. I never knew they made a
Yeah,
wagon.
they did. They made a wagon.
Huh.
I don't. Oh, well, let me put it this way.
gotta
I
be
never
rare.
saw that. That could be legit, but I never saw that. But he had a 4-door wagon, and it was bright orange. It was an absolute beast of a car. Yeah, see, they're silly. That's just being
Fucking
silly.
unnecessary.
That's
you can't see out the
Yeah,
fucking window.
That's just
How do you
silly.
register that thing?
I don't know.
Well, anyway, this particular day, guess where I was? Can I say Parramatta Westfield?
Classy.
An absolute debacle.
I was there on Thursday.
A debacle of a place.
Mate, I was there on Thursday.
Now, this is what happened. And this is no bullshit, Pottery Pete. I'm fucking telling you the truth. I'm telling you, this might get cut, right? I've done whatever it is I had to do. And as you know, it's a big shopping centre. There's lots of little multi-levels on it.
Yeah.
I've walked out of the shops, and as I'm walking towards the car, I noticed there's 2 legs sticking out from a bonnet. Yeah, I know. That's the look I had. I'm not making this up. This is no fucking bullshit. And there were 2 legs sticking out of the bonnet. The next thing I see, this woman is leaning over the bonnet and leaning over these 2 little legs sticking out. Now, don't fucking say it. I know what you're thinking.
I'm still confused.
Get ready for it. I get closer and closer to the car. Now, remember, the Gemini didn't have what all these cars have these days, which is remote locking. And so you had to walk up to the car and turn the key, right?
Yeah.
So I've walked up to the car, and as I've got closer, I've noticed this lady was changing her baby on the bonnet of my fucking car.
What a cockhead.
Oh, no.
Yes.
I thought it was going to be something a little bit more interesting than that, the way you were describing it.
No.
That's wrong.
No,
This
this
is soiling your car.
Yeah, this is what happened. Let me tell you what happened.
Fortunately, it was the same colour as the baby shit.
No, it wasn't. It was green. Oh, yeah. I suppose it could be. So I got closer.
That's bizarre.
As I got closer,
Thanks, Paramount.
and in her defence...
Please tell me she was hot.
No. As I get closer, this is where it really takes off. As I get closer, I've noticed that it's probably fair because the bonnet of the Gemini, if you can remember, is pretty flat.
It's perfect change table.
That's
the perfect change table height.
she turned
It's probably
my
nice and warm too.
she turned my Gemini into a change table, right?
Oh, that's classy.
Wrong.
And then I get up to her, and this is where we'll probably get banned. I've walked up to her and I've gone, oh, but back then I wasn't like I am now. I was a man child, and I've gone, excuse me, can I help you? And she's gone, what problem? And I've gone,
I can see where this is going to get banned.
yeah, this is where it's going to get banned. And I've gone, what are you doing? And she goes, I'm nearly finished, won't be long. I said,
Get the fuck off my car.
I've gone, what are you, but I was in shock because I would never have believed anyone would use my Gemini as a baby change table.
It is
That
Parramatta,
is
mate.
weird.
But this is back in the 90s, man.
And if it was today.
Oh,
I'd go,
today would be like a fucking normal day in Parramatta. But back then it was like, no. So as I got close, she goes, just be a minute. I just need to change baby. And I go, well, what are you doing changing it on my fucking car? And she's like, what take long? Me just help you. I just help this one and then we be gone. It's not problem. I said, yeah, it's big problem. And she goes, no. Anyway, I've gone, all right. So this is I'm not making this, no bullshit. So I get in the car and I start it up. And the baby's still on the top of the car. And she's going, what are you doing? I go, well, darling, I got shit to do. I don't want to wait for you to change the baby on the Gemini. And like I'm thinking, because what I was thinking is, the old man had told me if birds poo in your car, that it eats the paint. So I'm thinking the baby's poo's got to be the same, surely, right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
And she's like, what you doing? What your problem? I go, I got a fucking lot of problems, darling, and you're one of them. And she's like, oh, you rude man. She's like giving me the shit. And she goes, you rude. And I literally put
Who's
the car...
rude? She's changing a fucking diaper on your car.
Mate, I'm not making this up.
What a cockhead.
I'm not making this up. And I put the car in reverse, and she's got the hint that I wasn't joking at this point. So then she's picked up the baby, and she goes, you rude. And I'm like, fuck. And she's put the baby back in her car, right? And she's used...
Wait. Stop right there. Her car. Where is her car? What's wrong with
beside
the bonnet?
mine.
What's wrong with the bonnet of her car?
Fuck. Because it was more aerodynamic, I suppose, because it dipped. Mine was flat. The Gemini was...
got out of her car
Yep,
with her
mate,
baby.
okay, so she was parked right next to me.
She's got a back seat. She's got a front seat. She's got all kinds of places she
She
can
was
change that
parked
baby.
right next to me, right?
Oh, wow.
And she pulled all of her baby gear out.
Did she park beside you because she saw your car had a
No,
lovely
She's gone,
bonnet?
oh, that's a flat car.
No, I think I want to look at the good on this. I think what's happened is the baby's done a poo on the way into the car park or the way out of the car park. And she's gone, I'll change the baby's nappy now. And she's looked over at the Gemini and gone, well, that's a good change table. And she started to change the baby on the... Because she thought she'd get away with it. She didn't think I'd come back.
Yeah.
And she obviously thought that, well, I'm not going to do it on the back seat of my car. Why would I do that? You know, like, fuck...
Yeah, stink up.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
And so she's like because the Gemini was a target for everything, man. Like seriously, people would bang the door. It got stolen 3 times, Pottery Pete, and every time it got fucking found. One time it got stolen.
I don't want this fucking chunk of shit.
I'm telling you now.
I have to fucking fix it every weekend.
One time the Gemini got stolen in front of a bank, and the guys jumped in it, and they jumped in it, broke into it, and the battery went flat and it wouldn't fucking start. And they got out.
Because they didn't know there was a trick to it.
Yep.
Fucking morons.
Yep. Another time, no bullshit, it got stolen. And then later on, because I didn't own it at the time, but the people that owned it used to be my auntie and uncle, they got a phone call saying, "Oh, we found your carrots at the train station." Every fucking time. 3 times it got stolen. And the third time...
St. Mary's?
No, they were living...
No, I mean the train station got found at.
You remember? Okay, do you want to know something? This is no bullshit. They found syringes in the back of it. That is no bullshit.
No.
So the car went missing for about 3 or 4 days. And they thought they'd lost it.
They ran out of fuel and then they gave it up.
They reckon they ran out of fuel on it. No, that's no bullshit.
They weren't about to fill it up.
But also, too, what the Gemini...
Right. Leave it there full of gas.
That's still the next
So
one.
here's the thing. This is what they thought probably happened. The Gemini used to have a bit of a fault where, particularly in the heat, or if the engine was hot, you'd start it, but it wouldn't click over because it used to have a problem with like the starter motor.
Yeah.
And it'd go click, 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 and then it'd fire up.
Yeah.
And what they reckon is the people who stole it went, "Fuck, this car's rooted," and they pissed off. But actually, what it was probably the greatest anti-theft device ever known in history, and that was
being
the
a
fact
smoking pile of
that
shit.
it was actually shit, right?
There's a shit sold on
Yeah. So the car wouldn't start, and and no joke, they did find it at a train station, and it was full of syringes.
Yeah.
And they had to clean the syringes up because the auntie and uncle get a phone call and they say, "Oh, look, we found the car, but unfortunately it looks like it was kids or something, and they've made a bit of a mess of the car. Like they haven't ripped the seats or anything, but they've done drugs in it, and there's all these syringes on the back seat." But no bullshit, nothing fucking surprised me with this car. I'm telling you now, it was like Christine. It reminded me of this Bluebird I found in 1980. I got a fucking story about 1983. We found a stolen car at the end of the cul-de-sac, and all the kids called it the Christine because they'd read the book about we found a Nissan Bluebird at the end of the street that we thought was possessed because it was in the middle of the road for 2 weeks because no one gave a fuck, and we threw rocks at it for 2 weeks. That's no bullshit. It was a Nissan Bluebird that had been stolen, but at the time we thought it was possessed because what happened was it was just literally sitting in the middle of the road because where we lived there were never any cars coming down.
No one there.
No,
man.
it was in the middle of nowhere.
Even now, it's quiet.
But back then I'm telling you, there was 3 houses in the street, right? And this car was obviously been stolen, but at the time we were like, I think one of my friends said, Have you seen that movie Christine, or have you read the book Christine or something? And I didn't know what it was. He goes, I think the car's possessed. And so the car would literally sit in the middle of this street for fucking 3 weeks because no one reported it stolen. So every day after school, you know what we did? Let's go and see Christine. All right, no worries. And everyone thought we were going to see this girl, but it wasn't. It was a fucking car. And we used to pick up rocks and bricks and throw it at this car. And this car, mate, you know Street Fighter 2?
Yeah.
You know when the fucking car at the end of the levels and you beat the car up? That's what we did for 2 weeks on this car because we thought it was possessed. I'd never seen a stolen car before, ever. I've never seen one.
So you thought it was sitting on the road waiting for a victim, just ready to go.
We didn't know. We thought it was strange that this car was sitting in the middle of the road, and it was open too, by the way. The doors were open.
Yeah.
So we used to, again, how dumb are you, leaving fingerprints on it? But we'd sit in it and pretend to drive it, right? And then someone said, it's possessed, better not sit in that anymore, because they must have seen a Stephen King movie or something, I don't know. And so we started throwing rocks at it. And that sat there for fucking weeks. So the Gemini was a bit like that. Anything was possible. And I'm telling you now, in 1992, this lady changed her baby on the fucking bonnet of this car. And she goes, not problem. And then I put it in reverse and drove off.
You made it a problem.
I made it a huge fucking problem because I had shit to do.
You made it a felony.
Pretty much. But how is it? And then later, many years later, it dawned on me. I go, well, she's probably doing what she thought was reasonable because it was aerodynamically sound to be a change table. It
was a perfectly
because the bonnets
table.
are dead flat, Pottery Pete. They're dead flat. They're not like modern cars. Like you stick a baby on a modern car now, they just fall straight off.
Yeah, there's no chance.
But back then, that was dead flat, so you'd probably be able to put
as well. New cars are just like plastic.
Yeah,
there's no metal there.
So my fucking Gemini got made into a change table.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that's messed up.
And I've still got problems, with that kind of thing. Even to this day, I'm a bit paranoid that my car's going to be made into a change table. Because the modern era, anything's fucking possible.
Mate, all you got to do is take it to Parramatta again.
I don't like parking there.
Mate, I was there on Thursday. What a fucking nightmare of a place. We had a friend of ours visiting from Japan, and she just happened to be in the area. So we went out to Parramatta to meet her, to take her for a nice dinner there near the river.
Mm.
You get to where that, what's that football shop? Peter Wynn, whatever, where they sell all the merchandise for... We're the Guitar Factory along Church Street. That area there. Yeah, so we're there.
Opposite McDonald's there.
Opposite the McDonald's there, and there's an absolute massive punch-up between these... This is an innocent little friend of ours from Japan who's probably never seen drugs and violence
It's all
before.
gone to shit, mate.
And it was a full-on punch-up.
It's all gone to fucking shit.
This absolute troglodyte decked this other woman for no apparent... Just turned around for no reason and just dumped her on the ground. Punching up, full-on, and I'm like... Welcome to Western Sydney.
Yeah, what else can you say?
And this is at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
It's classy.
A fucking classy place. On Valentine's Day, which made it even more appropriate.
Well, it's all about the love.
It's all about the love.
Yeah, sharing it, yeah.
Yeah, sharing's caring.
Well, folks, we've just had a
Interruption to
the normal services here. We had, no bullshit, didn't we, Jason? Relaxation and Pottery Pete. We had a red belly black snake in the front yard.
Fucking Australia.
In front of mum's garage. And
in the pond.
And we just saw what I could only witness as just something incredible.
So we have to report on this. Like, we considered calling Fuck It on the podcast for the day.
We did, but this was
was just too much magic to not want to share with our just loyal fan base.
So here's a story. We caught a snake catcher, or Jason Relaxation caught a snake
Props
catcher.
to Julia. Julia, you are now my favourite person in the Blue Mountains.
She's a beast. I'm not making that up. She's a beast.
Weapon.
Because I've never seen anything like that. Because the best bit was we were watching the snake that was hiding in the bushes, and it was in the pond. Because you've got a pond with fish in there.
I've got a pond with fish. It's eaten.
Yeah.
It had fish.
Can we put photos up later? Because I took some photos.
Yeah, well, I'll put up some photos for our loyal listener.
The two that are listening. Well, maybe Super Simon's listening. But,
Super Simon will be listening.
But he's the only one that does.
That's it.
And we Jason Relaxation called this snake catcher. And I'm telling you now, we're making up all kinds of theories of what she looked like. And I'm like, she might be looking like the maid lady. And she comes out dressed as a maid and she picks up snakes. But that's me and my sick little fucking head. And so anyway, she comes out and I'm telling you the funniest thing for me, well, there's two, was when she says, "Where is it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's right in front of you, darling." It was literally on the footpath. I don't know how she missed it.
It was a metre away.
It was a metre away from her. And
I felt really bad because I said it's like near the wheelbarrow and that was on the left and the snake was on the right.
And she's looked to the left.
And I'm thinking, holy shit, I've said the wrong thing.
Yep.
She's now looking the wrong way. The snake's like right beside her leg and it's going to get her. It's going to be my fault.
I couldn't believe it. I actually thought what was going to happen is the snake was going to dive off into the bush.
Yeah, it got close to getting away, man.
Pretty much.
Close.
I actually thought it was because it was pretty smart. It knew that it was being cornered.
It's funny that she rocks up and it fucked off. It tried its best to get the fuck out of Dodge.
But it didn't really. Like, it hung around near your footpath there for a bit. And then she comes out and she's clanging on because she can't get in through the gate. Yeah. She's like, well, is there a latch there? Oh, okay. And she's making all sorts of noise. And then she goes...
It knew something was on.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, where is it?
She's giving the game away.
Yeah, she gave the game away. And then the snake's on the run because it knows it's in trouble. Mm-hmm. And she goes like, where? Where did you say it was, darling? Where is it?
Yeah, it was like some kind of panto. It was just like, he's over there. No, you're going the wrong way.
And I'm like,
because mind you, we're all shit scared. So we're not within fucking 20 meters.
Oh
of the
yeah, we're miles away. We're on the veranda.
And we're standing there going, is she fucking for real? She's going to catch a snake. She can't even see the fucking thing. Yeah. It was right in front of her. Mm-hmm. Right?
She wasn't young.
No.
Surely those old eyes can't see that snake.
No, she's a beast.
Because
we're like, I bet she rocks up in a Nissan Patrol or a Land Cruiser.
Silver Nissan Patrol.
She did, and she rocked up in a Pulsar, I think it was. It wasn't...
Still a Nissan.
Yeah, but it wasn't like a fucking...
Hey, yeah, there you go. There you go. There.
And then I'm like, I wonder what she looks like.
That wasn't impressive.
She's this and that. And I'm like, I wonder if she's a maid lady. That's a
And she was just a lovely old
Long white hair.
Long white hair.
Yeah, she's cool, man.
totally down to earth.
She's
Most chilled
cool.
out, relaxed person we've
She's
met.
so cool. And I'll tell you what was really cool and made me very inadequate as a man. I felt like a real man child. Is that she went up to the snake, looked at it, picked it up by the tail and shoved it in a bag.
Bare hands, mate.
She didn't even use the hook thing.
Didn't use the hook
No,
thing.
no
Just
hook
bang. Picked it up off of the ground. Goes, fuck you. Get in the bag.
You know what the best bit was? You know what the
You're
bit.
exaggerating.
Do you know what the bit? You know what the best bit was? Pottery Pete and I are looking at each other. She picked it up by the tail, threw it in the bag. Pottery and Pete and I just went, "Fuck off! How inadequate are we?" Like she wasn't scared of it. Didn't use the hook things, and then she goes, "I've just ruined his day," and I'm like, "Yeah, you have," because he was having a wonderful time in the pond,
Eating
fish, and then the best before
He was
that,
having a sushi lunch.
before that, great minds think alike. Pottery Pete goes, "I've just got an urge to throw rocks at it," and I'm like, "Yeah, me too."
I'm sorry.
I'll show you, snake.
I'll show you.
There's something about a snake just lying there.
I'm better than you in the evolution chain, you friggin'
Yeah.
fuck.
I mean,
Like, I
it's
just-
bad. It's like finding a beehive and wanting to throw rocks at that. You're not supposed to do it.
Pottery, Pottery Pete, I had a beehive grow on the side of my house.
And what did you do?
I fucking shit myself. I had to get a beekeeper out.
Oh, you didn't throw rocks at it?
Is this where we do the
No.
jingle for Kingswood Country?
Roll it, monkeys!
Done. Oh, the toys have gone flying.
Guess
Captain
what?
Picard and Geordie LaForge are on top of one another.
They've been like that for hours because Pottery Pete made them that way.
Yeah.
And you know what? Brutai's having some action as well.
Retai's he's got his hand on fucking Picard's
What's the
head.
name of
They
that
look
cat?
exhausted.
That's the Neko bus or cat bus.
That little fucker's been grinning at Geordie LaForge and Picard going at it for a
Yeah.
couple of hours. Sick fuck. But I'll tell you what, that snake lady was no joke.
Mate, she's on.
And even though
I'm going to
made-
give her props on
Yeah,
our website because
do that.
If you need a snake
Yep.
catcher, mate, I have
Yep.
never seen anyone more polished in my
I guess
in my years.
I guess so far as to say she's a snake charmer because that snake didn't know what it was doing.
That's it.
They had no idea.
It had no chance.
But you know what? I couldn't believe she wasn't even fussed. Like when we said, "Oh, you better," like I think one of us might have said, "Oh, look, you better be quick because it looks like it's going to go in the bushes." And
Nope, zero shit's given.
she didn't give a fuck. She was like, "Okay, cool, no worries, I'll find it." I'm like, Jesus Christ! You know what she is? She's the female Steve Irwin. Isn't she gorgeous?
Isn't she
Oh,
gorgeous?
crikey!
Crikey!
It's going off into the bushes.
Oh, you ruined his day.
And how disappointing was her answer to your question about what she's going to do with it? It's, just take it down the street.
Oh yeah, because I joked about it.
Jason's
I said,
like, wait a minute, how much am I paying and it's going to come back tomorrow?
Yep.
Prefer if you made soup out of that.
"That's the best. That's the best bit. That's the best bit." I'm like,
Really?
because
Yeah.
I was joking with Pottery Pete. I'm like, you know what's going to fuck him up? They're only going to put it down the bush desk down at the end of the street and it's going to come back. And then when she gave you the official answer of, well, if you send them too far outside of a kilometre radius, they get confused, they don't survive, they get run over by cars.
It's like,
and Jason Relaxation's just standing there going, I don't give a fuck, I just want it gone. But yeah, I wanted her to say I'm going to make boots out of it like Michael Douglas had in Romancing the Stone.
Yeah.
You know how he had the crocodile boots after they skinned the crocodile? I wanted her to make boots out of it. And then she rocks up like the snake hunter.
Yeah.
She's a snake hunter. She's no joke. I tell you, she's a beast. I've seen some beasts this week.
There's a TV show out of
Yep.
that waiting to happen.
I saw the guy that ripped out my shower in about 10 minutes. I thought that was impressive, but
No,
she just
mate.
walked up to a snake, threw it in a bag and went, "You fuck snake."
And, it hurts when they bite you.
Oh yeah, because then he's gone.
It's like, is that all?
Yeah, Jason Relaxation's gone, "Oh, but I'm worried about getting bitten." She goes, "Oh no, it hurts. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right."
It'll hurt for a couple of days.
It'll hurt
It'll
for a
be
couple of
fine.
days.
Yeah. They won't kill you. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't give a fuck.
But how bad did we look? We stood on the porch like little pussies that we
we
are,
totally looked
and
like
I did
pussies.
not look good. It did not look good. And she
No.
looked at us like,
It's raw
"You
blokes.
call yourself men?
Yeah.
yeah.
You little men child?"
Mind you, I was the most manly because I actually came down to show
Yeah.
where the snake was, whereas you guys were,
I didn't even have shoes on. I couldn't do anything
I didn't
to
have.
help
I
you.
was barefooted as well.
I was in socks.
I was in socks as well.
Oh, okay.
There's no doubt that she's got the big.
Look, the way I am now is exactly what I was,
Yeah,
mate.
fair enough.
There's no doubt she's got the biggest balls of all of us.
Oh, mate,
I'm telling you now.
wouldn't be hard.
No, because I had little tiny sultanas that went up into my little cavity. You know the turtle cavity.
The
When you're
turtle
cold and
cavity.
your thing shrivels up into the cavity,
Turtle.
it becomes a turtle. That's what happened in my little situation. I was like little turtle.
We're perfectly safe on that. I think.
There's a snake in the front yard. Can you catch it, please?
Oh, it was beautiful.
There's a Ninja Turtle up there.
Oh, it's got a bigger...
I'm trying to find a segue into our actual topic for today, and the closest thing I could find was anime.
Topic of the show, I'll do it official. We wanted to talk a tiny little bit of anime. We'll do a bit more anime in later episodes, but the one that we were talking about was Robotech, and I did mention Robotech.
It started a bit of a storm online. We had like 5 retweets. When
oh, mate. Which for us is huge.
Which is huge. I did the hashtag Robotech and literally 5 people, all of which were Japanese.
Oh, can I tell you?
Oh, really?
And if he's listening...
They don't even call it Robotech.
And
it seemed to trend, whatever that
well, let me tell you something that happened. We got our first bit of fan bullshit thrown at us. And if he's listening to us, I appreciate it. But I'm going to come back at you now. I'm not burning my Robotech dolls, you fuck. Because this guy says, burn them. I said, fuck off, they're collectibles.
He's a random too. I didn't know who
he was. A random.
Yeah.
I said, listen here, mate, they're collectibles. I'm not burning them, you fuck. And I'll stand by that. And if I've lost one listener, I don't give a fuck. I do this to rant and rave.
That kind of listener we don't need.
Now, fuck off. And I'm still donating to charity, by the way, so I can say as much as I want.
Yep.
So go fuck yourself, whoever you were,
Muppet.
saying... Mate, they're collectibles. I know they look like dolls, and they were described as such by Super Simon.
From Super Simon, myself, Mum.
Yeah, Mum had a crack at them too.
Pretty much everyone decided.
But she never said I could burn them.
Even my wife said they were dolls.
Did you see the guy? Did you see the tweet?
They're a bit Barbie.
Yep, there you go.
Did you see the tweet?
Which one?
By this guy that said to burn them.
No, that was on Facebook.
Yeah, on Facebook.
He goes, burn them, set them on fire.
Yeah, and I said, fuck off, they're collectibles.
Yeah, I know, whatever.
I'll stand by that.
What a plonker.
Was he there at fucking Sheriff Minicars in 1994
no.
buying this shit? No, he wasn't.
Nope.
He's just casually being a keyboard warrior telling me that my fucking Robotech action figurines are dolls. I fucking know they're dolls. I did the confessional last week, and I'm not going to relive that bullshit again. You can go fuck yourself.
So that's a nice segue.
But I still love
Robotech.
you.
She comes with a comb and a brush.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the story. I said it last week. That comb and brush
have been used.
Pedro, friend of the show, used that on Lisa Hayes and made her hair up.
Seriously?
100%.
Did a good job on it.
Yeah, because what happened was she was in there was a band around her hair.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't like that. And he took the doll out of the pack and then he did her hair up.
Using the
included
comb and
yes,
brush.
he did. Most certainly he did. Yes.
Fabulous.
And I'm not going to.
Was the result.
And I'm going to tell you. And I'll tell you off. I'll tell you off air what he did for a living. I'll tell you off air what he did for a living, and it'll make the afternoon more interesting.
Post-coital hangout. That's what that is.
So,
sorry, we're just admiring the figure.
So for those that don't know why Jason Relaxation's laughing, Pottery Pete's put Captain Picard and Geordie LaForge
staring at Worf's cock
and Worf. My action figurines.
That wasn't the idea.
They're basically doing weird things, and they shouldn't be doing those weird things.
They're having a good old time.
They're having an orgy, a plastic orgy. We want to talk about Robotech. I want to get out of this bullshit podcast as quickly as I can. Robotech, Pottery Pete, I don't know what your thoughts are on it, but I started really getting into it in 1994. And I absolutely love Robotech.
Similar. Wasn't that the last time it was on TV?
Yeah, it was on. You know what it was on? Cartoon Connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who was hosting it back then?
Anne-Marie Sparkman.
Anne-Marie.
Oh, Anne-Marie. Ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
Yeah, there was actually her, and then later on they had Teresa. But Anne-Marie was the...
Cartoon Connect. I can't remember Teresa.
Aggro's Cartoon Connection. See if you can Google that. But
fucking Aggro.
Anne-Marie was the... Anne-Marie Sparkman. That was what her name was. I don't know if it was a real name. But she was the hostess of that show with Aggro. And that's her. That's her. But anyway, they used to play Robotech, and that's how I first saw it.
That was the best.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah. It was so much more grown up than the other cartoons at the time.
Yeah.
It was like mature issues
it's
being
just
explored.
Pure anime, right?
Well, you know what it is? It's 3 different animes from Japan. Shoehorned together, yeah, by Harmony Gold. And that's what makes it even more impressive. Yeah, that's her.
Whoa.
No, that's Teresa. That's the later one. Yeah, she was nice, man. That's the later one. That's not the original one. The original one.
I saw it before. That's fine.
Yeah, that's Anne-Marie. Yeah.
That's Anne-Marie. Yeah.
I think he died in real life.
Did he?
The aggro voice actor, Jamie, what's his name? He passed
Jamie
away.
Dunn.
Jamie Dunn. Yeah, I believe I could be wrong, and I hope I am, because he was very, very, very funny with what he was doing. And I'll tell you now.
He started off on Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you now, that show Cartoon Connection would not fly today, because
Oh,
he
mate,
did
sexual harassment.
He did a
ahoy.
lot of shit to her.
There was.
You know when he was
yeah.
he was filling her up under the desk.
Well, that's
He
where
was
is.
because she would be talking and she goes, because she had a real baby voice, but it was kind of sexy. She'd go, okay, the next cartoon we're going to show is Robopet. and she'd go, stop it, you rude boy.
Oof.
So it wouldn't, I'm telling you now, it wouldn't happen today.
No.
Not without a lawsuit.
No.
If he's still alive, he'd probably be.
No, I hope I'm wrong about that. I really hope I am, but I heard he had passed away, and I hope I'm wrong. But that show, I think, ended in the late 90s.
It said 97.
Like
but-
97, 98, I think it ended.
That Wikipedia entry just said 97.
Okay, so late 90s. But 94 was when they were showing Robotech, and that's when I first saw it.
Now it's quality.
And and just like you, I loved it because it did have real adult themes, but it also had Japanese cheesy love themes as well. And it also, but the other cool thing was it had awesome mech. So you had the Veritex, you had the Bioroids, you had the different.
All of which are currently
Zentradi.
on my table.
Yeah, they're in a orgy on the table here. But it was awesome because like the story was really sci-fi as well, which is what I loved about
And
it.
at this point, we're not kids anymore, so it was just like, well, we had to get something good out of these cartoon shows that wasn't gummy bears or.
Gummy bears bouncing here and everywhere.
Thank
Gummy
you. Leave it there.
bears.
Yeah, so that's the other kind of crap that was on at the time.
Yeah.
So I was just like, well, no interest in
Yeah,
that.
and
so.
Care Bears and Cabbage Patch Dolls.
When you
and
think
all
about
that
it,
bullshit.
Robotech for us was really the first anime that we saw.
Not for me.
Well,
Not for me.
on
Starblazers.
commercial TV.
No. but
On commercial TV, something
No.
that was aired on a daily day or every morning or whenever.
For
Every hour.
you, yes, but not
Yeah.
for me because I'm older than you. But for me, I have to go back to probably the mid-'80s, like when I was around 8, 9, 10 years old. And they used to have a show in the afternoon on Channel 2 on the ABC network. And for the life of me, I can't remember this show. I don't. It turned into Michael Tunn's afternoon show or something like this. But before that, I couldn't tell you what it was called. And it used to show cartoons. And one of the cartoons they used to show was Battle of the Planets. And at the break, I was telling you that it's called Gunshima in Japanese.
Gunshima.
Yeah.
Gundam?
No, not Gundam. Gundam's totally another story. I'm no expert on Gundam. That's why I talk
What was
about
the
it.
English name?
Battle of the Planets. And they were the G-Force. Do you remember the G-Force? Not the new G-Force bullshit that they made as a movie. That's it. Battle of the Planets. Right?
Shit off.
That's it. And they used to have different mecha that would form a ginormous phoenix. It was called the Phoenix. Battle of the Planets. That's it. Gatchaman. That's what the Japanese Gatchaman. That's the original Japanese name for that anime. But obviously here in the West it was known as Battle of the Planets. And that's probably the first anime that I ever saw. And they used to have
Might have been Astro Boy.
I saw Astro Boy, I did. But my recollection was this was my first anime that I saw, but I did see Astro Boy as well. And this one had they'd have different powers and they'd form a phoenix, which was like this massive big fuck off spaceship that basically would stop everything. But there was a baddie in that show that kept messing with them. And I can't remember the name of the baddie. We could probably, you got the wiki open.
I do. Well, this is the Japanese version, right?
Yeah, we'll open up the wiki.
Battle of the Planets.
Battle of the Planets. I just want to remember what the name of the baddie is. I can't remember it. Because it's been a really long time since I saw it. Yeah, Genshin in Japan. Scroll down.
Science Ninja Team Gatchaman.
Yeah.
That's a
proper.
Summary.
That's
G-Force. So, yeah, Mark, Jason, Princess. And Keybop was the one that used to go. Yeah, he never could speak because he was a bit of a special one. But Zoltar, that's the dude, Zoltar, right? And the Luminous one was the one that Zoltar reported to. The Luminous one was literally this light thing. But Zoltar was a bit of a weirdo because he used to dress in drag. Right? But Zoltar
There's a strike.
I don't give a fuck. I've donated
There
to
he
charity. That's Zoltar. See, look at him. He's weird.
Oh,
He's got big fuck off ears and he's
he is
weird. Yeah, and he's got a cape like
man
Freddie
wannabe,
Mercury and
yeah.
shit.
He's doing the Freddie Mercury
Yeah,
right there.
am I not being funny? That doesn't look a bit weird to
It's
you?
like a cross between Lady Gaga and Freddie Mercury.
It looks a bit weird,
It
right?
doesn't look scary at all.
No.
As a villain, does he?
So that's Zoltar, right? And he reported to the Illuminous one. But I can't remember their motivation for being the baddies. But the G-Force was there to stop this fucker, right? And there was Princess, who was a little bit of a
Princess.
flirt. She liked Mark, but she was the one that used to lead the others on.
So she's like Zelda.
Oh yeah, Zelda's a pain in the ass. I would have given up ages ago. If I was Link, I'd say fuck off, Zelda. Every time I've got a game out, I've got to save your ass.
Link.
You know, but what
Princess.
what can Link do? Because he can't speak. He's fucked. But that was probably my first anime that I used to sit down and watch as a kid on the channel 2 in the afternoon after school. And the other one was the one that I was telling you about, which was Star Blazers. And I love Star Blazers. You might want to Google that as well.
Oh, mate, everyone knows Star Blazers.
Yeah,
sure.
well, I don't know because I can't remember the name of what that is in the Japanese version of it. But we've learnt that Battle of the Planets was Gatchaman, and
We're learning.
we're learning, hooray! And the other one was Star Blazers, and Star Blazers was really cool. And that's older. That's older than any of these ones because it was done in the late 70s. There you go, 74. Right? 74, 79 it came out. That's how old this thing is. And I probably watched it in 84.
It's totally Speed Racer style animation.
Yeah, it is. It's really it's really old. But what I loved about Star Blazers is it had some really interesting characters and it had a lot of Japanese cheese, right? Lot of love cheese.
This is very
So cheesy,
Japanese,
right?
Yeah.
So there was Venture, there was Wildstar, and there was Nova. And Nova was hot.
Uchu Senkan Yamano.
What was it called?
Yamato.
Well, that's the name of the battleship.
Uchu Senkan Yamato.
Yeah, that's the name of the battleship that they resurrected from the now emptied seas. Because I was telling you before, Pottery Pete, the Gamelons were the evil aliens that were somehow radiating the Earth with these radiation, what do you call it? Meteorites, and they completely obliterated the Earth. And so the survivors of the Earth would move underground to survive the radiation. And so they developed the what they call themselves? They called themselves not the Space Force. They called themselves something. Not Star Blazers either.
Earth Defense Force?
Earth Defense Force. They were the ones that resurrected and built this spaceship in secret, which was the Yamamoto, right? And then they launched that in to go to Ishtar. Is it Ishtar?
Yeah, so
Yep.
it seems they
And then-
got help from Queen
Starsha.
Starsha
Yeah,
of the
because she
planet
had the Cosmo DNA. And the
Iskander.
Yeah, Ishtander. So the Cosmo DNA, if they use this Cosmo DNA on Earth, it would get rid of the radiation
Sweet.
and restore the Earth back to normal. But they only had one more year left before the radiation would be irreversible. So it's a bit like the greenhouse effect, really.
Yeah. Spooky.
So they went on this journey to Ishtar or Ishtandar, and they went to try and find the Cosmo DNA, right? But along the way, they'd meet the Gamelons, and the Gamelons would always fuck them up. But the Yamamoto was no joke because it had this thing called the wave motion engine, which was a massive big fuck off cannon, and it would just annihilate every fucking Gamelon. And the Gamelons really didn't like them very much because of this wave motion engine because they were no joke. But that was probably that, and what do you call it? Battle of the Planets were the first animes that I remember seeing, and then later on, I know it came out before this, but later on I would watch Astro Boy. But I never really got into Astro Boy as much as I did these ones. And these were the prelude to Robotech.
Yeah.
So my anime phase was in the 80s, like mid-80s to late 80s. And then late 80s, I think Akira came out as a movie, which was amazing. I loved that shit as a movie. And then the mid-90s bubble up again with the Robotech saga, and I love the Macross saga and the New Generation and
So
the
here's a
Southern
question.
Cross, which they merged together.
Which of the 3 series of Robotech before the one that came well after is your favourite?
What do you mean? Sorry.
So you got 3 different, basically generations of Robotech.
Oh, yeah.
right?
The Macross saga, the first one.
So you like the first one?
Oh yeah. Because the first one I think was the closest or the truest to the source material.
Well,
And then what they did was, because it was such a great story, and credit where credit's due, Harmony Gold did a really great job, I think, splicing those 3 series together, because the Southern Cross...
well, that made total sense. Yeah.
The Southern Cross was cool too, because the Southern Cross had some cool characters like General Leonard, who was an absolute maniac, and General Emerson was this conflicted general that knew that...
I need to watch it again,
Yeah,
man. Jeez.
I'm telling you now, it's really, really cool.
Where can I
'cause,
get that shit?
you could probably YouTube it. I think it's all on YouTube. But General Leonard was a maniac who wanted to annihilate everything. And General Emerson was the general that had common sense and said, no, you're going about it the wrong way. We won't beat the Robotech Masters. Because remember, the Robotech Masters, after the Macross saga, came to Earth looking for the protoculture.
Yep.
And they found the protoculture in the old abandoned ruins of the SDF-1,
Yep.
which was another... I think that was the battleship Macross in the original Japanese anime. But the Robotech source, the protoculture source was in the SDF-1 originally, in the crash site.
Well, they had it with them the whole way.
Right.
Yeah.
So the Robotech Masters smelt it from the universe and came looking for it. And so the Earth Defense Force was pretty much on the back foot in the Southern Cross or Series 2 of Robotech. And they had some really interesting characters. Like they had General Emerson, who was a really level-headed guy who said, no, we should try and be diplomatic with the Robotech Masters because we don't have the technology or the firepower. Our fleet's decimated. We're still recovering from the big fallout of the SDF. Because remember, the SDF-1 went nuclear at the end of the very first series, the Macross saga.
Big kaboom.
And big kaboom, and it fucking nuked everything, right? And also, the Zentradi nuked the Earth as well from orbit. And so the Earth was fucked, right? And so the survivors, they basically didn't have much left to defend the Earth with. And so the Robotech Masters came looking for the protoculture, because once the SDF-1 burst open, that's where Zor, who was the Robotech, the protoculture, I guess he was the creator of protoculture, I believe.
It's basically a fuel system.
It was a fuel system, but he created it, and he'd buried it in the original SDF-1.
Yeah, he hid it.
He
Buried
hid
it in
it,
it, yeah.
right? He hid it from the Robotech Masters because he knew that A, the Zentradi would come looking for it, and B, the Robotech Masters would come looking for it, and C, the Invert would come looking for it.
So the Invert is the series that I remember the most.
That's the
right?
New Generation.
So they're the crabs, right?
They're the crabs.
Yeah. So that
I don't remember the crap.
Yeah,
remember
they're the crabs.
So I
yeah.
really enjoyed that. The
early stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that series, the third one.
Yeah, look, they're all great, but the third one was...
Because that's many years later.
Yeah, it is many...
When there's basically no recollection of the battle that had occurred previously.
No.
Other than folklore and stories and
That's
stuff.
right.
So you got these young guys walking around and they're stumbling across these things again. And they're getting attacked by giant purple crabs, and it's kind of a...
You know what's really cool
a good
about
ride.
that series, and this is why I don't like what Harmony Gold has done with the Robotech license. They've basically done nothing with it. And they've basically... everyone's hanging, I think it's 2022 or 2023 when Harmony Gold loses their license of Robotech, and then it becomes... someone else can take the Robotech license and do something with it. And there's a lot of talk about new series being done, games being produced, toys being made. But Harmony Gold's sitting on it for a couple more years, right? And so what I love, I give credit to Harmony Gold because they did splice these 3 series really well together. And what I love about it is, you're right, the Macross Saga, which was the first series, had the SDF-1 being the main focus of it. It gets destroyed at the end of the first season or first series. Then the second season's the Southern Cross, and that's got some characters in there too, like I was saying. And that's got the Earth being decimated. It's fucked. It's basically a moonscape. And whoever's left over is the survivors of that original fallout. And the New Generation, which is the third season, is even more clever because they're basically saying the Southern Cross, which was the last remaining Earth Defense Forces, they were beaten at the end by the Robotech Masters, right? And so you had very little resistance at all when the Invert came.
Yeah, they just
So
they
the
took
Earth,
over.
the Earth might have done okay against the Centrati. They beat the Centrati. They beat the Robotech Masters in the second season, but at a huge cost. But they couldn't beat the Invert when the Invert invaded.
The Invert just came
Right.
in, and then
So
by the end of it, you're seeing basically an underground movement against
the resistance.
The resistance.
So this is when Admiral Hunter on the SDF-3 is missing. They don't know where he is. And that's explained in the Sentinels movie. And I've actually got that on VHS.
Oh, wow.
So the Sentinels...
VHS, fuck
Oh,
me.
mate, I'll tell you the story. I'll fucking tell...
Nice.
I'll tell you the story about that. I'll tell you the story now. This is a little mini-ram. Pedro and I had backpacked for 4 months all over Europe, and then we went to the US, right? And when we got to the US, we ended up at LA and we went to Disneyland, right? That's a fuck up. 2 fuck ups going to Disneyland. But what we wanted to do, we went looking. This is before the days, arguably, of eBay. We went looking for the Sentinel treasure, and we went looking, and we tried to find the Sentinels. We tried to find the Sentinels movie, right?
Yeah.
And we found it on VHS in a department store.
Fuck me.
Right?
That's
So
a score.
it's NTSC.
That's all right. We can figure that out.
Well, no, most players can play it now. And so we picked it up for dirt cheap because we couldn't get it in Australia. We couldn't find it anywhere. And I've played the movie, and it explains really, really well. It actually picks up the story of Rick Hunter and Lisa Hayes.
Yeah, okay.
And how they're working on the SDF-3, and they meet other different aliens that are trying to get protoculture as well. It's quite a complex story. There's been some spin-offs since then, like the Shadow. I think it's called the Shadow Masters or the Shadow series or something like that, which is another subset of the Robotech universe. But the Invert story is really
really
clever
it.
by Harmony Gold, because what they're saying is you beat the first lot of Zentradi, which is the first main enemy. Then you beat the Robotech Masters in the second season, which is the second enemy. And then you didn't have enough defense. Everything was wiped out after the second series. And so there's no way you could beat the Inverts, because the Inverts were like, I'm really glossing over this, and I know I'm making some mistakes here, so don't crucify me, but the Invert were kind of like scavengers of the universe looking for protoculture. They needed protoculture to live, not to even fuel their ships.
It's like the crack whores.
They were like crack they were crack whores of space looking for protoculture. They were addicted to it, right? And so they came to Earth because they knew, because when Zor hid the protoculture on the SDF-1, sorry, and at the end of the second series, the Southern Cross series, the SDF-2 site gets blown apart, and the spores, the protoculture spores get released. And as soon as that happens, right at the end of the second series, Dana Sterling says, "Oh no, what have we done?" or something like that, because they hear about this thing called Invert, because the Robotech Masters say, "Well, listen, it's either us or the Invert. What would you rather have? We're not going to fuck you over as much as the Invert are, because the Invert, they're not even really, they're not rational."
Yeah,
The Invert Queen.
They're high as fuck on protoculture.
Yeah, but the Invert Queen, right? Oh, you're a fucking idiot. The Invert Queen, she just wants protoculture at all costs. So what are you going to do? And so when the Invert came, they got knocked out. The Earth Defense Force was gone, and so all they had was the resistance. And so that was really, really clever that Harmony Gold put that in. I don't know how they managed to splice it together.
Absolutely brilliant.
And so again, it all made complete sense. And I actually, when I first watched Robotech, I didn't know that there was 3 individual stories.
You thought they were?
I thought they were the one.
They were actually deliberately.
Yeah. But I could never work out why Rick Hunter never came back after the first series. And that's because he was never completely different anime, basically.
And that and Min-Mei driven him fucking crazy.
Oh,
by
Min-Mei.
that point. Min-Mei. Mate, that's where it lost me in that first season of Robotech.
Reba West, she can't sing.
Oh, fuck.
Reba West was the voice actress for Min-Mei.
Jesus, fuck.
And
but we need your voice to win the battle. We
That's
need
right.
love.
We need love.
Love.
Because the Zentradi went to pieces with Min-Mei because they fell in love with her. So they got space boners and they couldn't cope with it.
Couldn't fight anymore.
No.
That's it.
Distracted.
We
But
will win.
I know there was an arcade game as well.
There was a PS2 game as well.
Oh, the arcade! I was addicted to that.
Tell
Yeah.
us more.
Oh, I love that. It was you could convert from a regular aircraft into a mech, and it chewed up a lot of my coins in time zone back in the day, back in Queen Street, Campbelltown time zone.
Oh, I've been there many times.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
that place
shit,
was
yeah.
heaven.
Queen Street, Campbelltown.
Yeah.
I have some stories
Is it
about
still
that.
is it still as classy as it always
It's
was?
probably worse now
Hmm.
because it was back. I don't want to talk about it because it's not appropriate. but back then, well, I've got stories about arcades in general.
Yeah.
Like I've got a story about arcades for me were always seedy places because they were always
Really?
because the arcades that I used to go to.
Yeah.
The very first time I went to an arcade, there was always the experience that kids were a lot older than you. So the older kids would always pick on the younger kids. And there was one time we went to an arcade and it was always weirdos there, at least the arcade I used to go to. And the arcade that I went one time, there was a guy, he was literally handing out chocolates to people, to the young kids. Now think about the context of the modern world.
Yeah, it's
Right?
probably a bit.
Think
more-
about that for a little bit. So I'm not kidding you, he went into the arcade one day, this guy, and he had a shopping bag full of Cadbury Dairy Milk blocks of chocolate, and he'd watch the kids play Sega games or arcade games in general, and you give them a block of chocolate. That's fucking no bullshit. And that's why I've always had a bit of a funny thing with the fucking arcades. And then they built remember Intensity in Parramatta?
I do remember Intensity. Yeah,
They had a machine called
Yeah.
Red Mars, and that was where you used to sit in a simulator, and it used to move as you.
Yep.
It was in the mid
Is
'90s.
that one of those $2 games?
I used to be fucking $10, man. But here's the thing: you'd sit in this simulator, and you'd be completely engulfed. This is before VR. You'd be completely engulfed in the screen. There was a big screen in front of you of like Mars, and you'd be
was
in
it a multiplayer? Wasn't
No.
it?
I'll tell you how it was. I tell you how it was, but it wasn't. You'd be in a shuttle, and that shuttle, you'd have to dodge obstacles to get the best time. And as you moved, the seat rocked and all this sort of stuff. Now, what was cool about it, and this was the multiplayer bit of it, they used to give you a report of your time.
That's
and
right.
you'd be in a team, and you'd compare each other's
That's it.
time to everybody else. Now, I remember they used to have multiplayer session nights at Intensity, right, where they'd get you into groups of, say, 20 or 30, and they'd say, you're up, you're up, you're up, you're up. And then by the end of it, you'd have your time and your name against your score and against all the other people. And whoever won that night would win an Intensity award, right? It was basically a night for nerds. And again, you wouldn't see a female for 100 kilometres, and all you'd hear is
Ovaries drying up.
the drying up of vaginas.
But that Macross game, no one ever played it. I was the only one who ever played that damn thing. I never had to wait to play that game. And it was all fun and games until they sped it up. You remember when they used to do that?
Yeah.
Every so often, suddenly the game would be faster.
Yep.
And it started chewing your money because you couldn't dodge anything anymore.
Yep.
Yeah,
The arcades were
that
weird
ruined it.
The arcades were weird back in those days because I'm sure they used to play funny games with the difficulty of, because people would talk, they've made it more difficult than it needs to be, and there was always those someone's done something to the Street Fighter machine, or this arcade stick's like not working properly, or the buttons are fucked on this one on this cabinet or something.
I think quite often the joystick would just get unresponsive because it's been beaten up too much.
That's right.
But I do remember the speeding up. That was
They used to speed the games up.
That was just ruined. That put me off it because that was my favourite game in the arcade. But jeez, ruined. They played so well. I mean, it was just a scrolling shooter.
Yeah.
But you just kept getting more upgrades and more upgrades until the whole screen was just full of your fire.
Yeah.
It got ridiculous. You couldn't see what was coming at you because your fire was so intense.
Unreal.
It was the best.
But the Robotech
And
games,
the bosses. Oh, that first shot. No.
No, but you still.
it's a shmup.
No.
It's just shmup is the one he's talking about to
That's
shoot him
the-
up.
Yeah.
And Presto Part 1.
So no, but I just saw something that
I remember
Retro
that.
Dan needs to
That was
purchase.
the first villain, first boss monster.
That's
Yeah.
unreal.
That's
Massive
the
shit.
game. But there was a
That
PS2
was
game. I'm telling you now, a PS2 came out with Robotech on it.
Look at this shit, man.
I've seen them. They're fucked. Don't worry about them.
Yeah, but where can you get the arcade one? That was fabulous.
Look at that shit.
Yeah.
Fuck, I want to play that now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
That
on
looks fucking awesome.
that's on a Coleco. That's on a
Yeah.
ColecoVision. I've got a ColecoVision. But I'm sure there was a
Yeah,
PS2.
that's it. It's Super Space Fortress Macross. I remember that.
That's the one I'm thinking of. Super Space Fortress Macross. That's the Robotech game that I'm thinking of. That's the one. That's it. That Robotech, the Macross Saga. That was that game there came out, I'm sure of it, on the PS2. Can you click on that? So I'm not totally The one up above, Robotech, the
okay,
Macross
it's got-
Lego.
Yeah,
that one.
no, I just saw that there's a Shenmue picture there.
Oh, we're not talking about Shenmue. We're talking about this
No,
shit.
but he's got it in
I don't give a fuck about Shenmue today.
That's just a picture.
Oh, I wanted to see. I'm sure that was a PS2 game.
If it is, then
Oh no, the arcade one was unbelievable. That was the best. 1992. Oh, love that game. The bosses were fabulous.
you're gonna have to make yourself a cabinet, mate.
Yeah. Could you even get it though?
Oh,
It's
yeah,
pretty
you
What was
could-
it called? What was it called? Robotech.
The Macross Saga.
It just came up as Macross as the game name. I'm sure.
Yeah,
you
well,
Robotech
you know what?
anywhere.
Everyone worked out pretty early on that Robotech was Macross or Macross was
Yeah.
Robotech.
No, 'cause I reckon
know.
it was just a straight up port from Japan. The arcade one. Like, I think they produced it.
Google Robotech games. What are you doing? Just don't worry about that. You're going to get all sorts of shit. Just go Robotech games. Because there's been stuff on the PCs. I was right. PS2 Robotech Invasion. That came out. It's the one I'm thinking of. Robotech Invasion. Came out on the PS2 and the original Xbox. And Battlecry's the other one I got. That's the one I'm actually really thinking of is Battlecry. That came on the PS2.
I think there's an opportunity. There isn't a lot of games.
Yeah,
is
but
there?
you know why? It's Harmony Gold. This
Harmony
is what
Gold,
this is
yeah.
what I'm getting back at. Harmony Gold apparently has the rights to Robotech to 2022 or 23.
Yep.
And they're not doing anything with that license at all. And there's really big hope that when the license is not renewed by Harmony Gold, that someone grabs the license for Robotech and does something with it. But Robotech Battlecry is the one I'm thinking of for the PS2 that I played to death, and I absolutely love that game.
No, the one that
'Cause
Macross
that-
Saga was the one I played to death.
Because Battlecry is the
How
one
much
where you
money
could
I
be.
lost on that.
Battlecry is the one where you were a Veritech as Guardian mode or Battleroid mode. Remember they were different modes? There was Guardian mode, Battleroid mode, and Veritech mode, fighter mode.
Yeah.
Fighter mode.
Yeah, it is midway through and you got full robot mode.
Yeah,
and you got
but
the,
Battlecry allowed you to do that on
Yeah.
the PS2. It was fucking awesome.
Pretty sure this little toy lets me do it.
Yeah, it does, but don't it'll make all sorts of shit noise.
What was his name?
That's Max Sterling.
Max Sterling.
Max
yeah.
Sterling got married to Miria, who was the Zentradi that was
That's right.
micronized. Remember? So Miria was the spy that was sent to spy on the Micronians, which were the humans. And she fell in love with Max Sterling because you know why? He was a better fighter pilot than she was. So she was the shit hot fighter pilot for the Zentradi.
But he was better.
But he was better. And he beat her in combat. And so she got micronized because she wanted to get revenge against Max Sterling. But also she was there to spy on the Micronians. She was sent out by the leader of the female Zentradi. I can't remember her
I
name,
remember
actually.
that,
Yeah.
I think we've got another weekend project for you, Peter, is to make a cabinet, mate.
Oh Christ! I've got enough.
That's
of
the
that.
game I played on the PS2,
Use
which
like
was
leftover
Battlecry.
wood from renovating my house and turn into a
Yeah, fucking why not?
yeah. I'll have tongue and groove construction.
Because
Might use my leftover jarrah. Make it
you've got a tabletop, you could stick it on your
I'm
tabletop.
actually thinking that I've probably got a Robotech game on that.
Yeah, because you got thousands of
I got a lot of shmups on there because I got a main box and it's got 2,200 arcade games on it. And I just wonder if I've got Robotech on there, but I don't recall.
God, yeah, that'd
I
be
don't
awesome.
recall seeing it.
I
I've
haven't
got
seen
games.
it since the 90s.
Yeah, I've got games like 1941, 42,
Yeah,
43,
yeah,
44,
yeah.
45. There's heaps of
Played
shmups
those
on.
to death, yeah.
There's heaps of those games on this
they're
box.
totally
But if I don't recall there being Robotech on there, because if there was, I would have lost my mind. But I don't think
You
there-
might not have ever looked.
No, I've looked at every game on there. I don't remember seeing Robotech.
How much free time are you
No,
got?
there's a menu.
Oh,
you
I
just
see.
go. You just go.
Yeah, I remember.
All it is a Windows XP box, and you
Yeah.
just go through the list of games. But I don't remember seeing Robotech on there, and if I had, I would have lost my mind on it. But I don't.
Doesn't mean you can't get it.
Oh, mate, you can.
It's
Mate,
just a Windows machine.
yeah, but not only that, Battlecry is available on the PS2 or Xbox Original,
Sure.
so you could easily pick it up. But that wasn't a shoot 'em up. That was from my memories, that was more of a 3D. Almost, I'm going to say Mech Warrior, but it wasn't Mech Warrior sort of game where you're actually 3D.
That's a blast. But
Mech Warrior
Jesus.
is the fucking shit. Did you ever play Mech Warrior?
No.
Oh fuck, that was the shit.
That mate, Mech Warrior 2 was great.
Yeah,
too.
because we upgrade. Okay, so when the 486 finally ran out of power, around about 2000, about I'm going to say 2000, we upgraded it,
This game
and it was my first
cracking.
ever AMD PC.
Oh, okay.
I think it was a K6.
That's because
CPU.
our
Yeah,
cousin
yeah.
at the time convinced us to get an AMD.
Yeah, but it was also cheaper. But I remember thinking I've made a mistake because they're not going to work and all that. Because people forget.
No, fine. Oh, good.
Yeah, but people forget. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were compatibility potential issues running AMD CPUs. But we never had a problem, right? And now you wouldn't even think twice about buying an AMD CPU because they're pretty cool. But yeah, we played MechWarrior on that PC, and that I love MechWarrior when it came out.
I can't find any original images for it.
Yeah, I can't remember that. I think it was MechWarrior 2, or was it just MechWarrior that we played?
We had both. MechWarrior 2.
That's what we had, MechWarrior 2.
Yeah, that was fucking mind-blowing.
We definitely had that. I remember the box art.
Yeah. Expansion packs. Jeez, that was a good game.
There's a couple of MechWarrior games in development, or if not being released on Kickstarter and all the rest of it. But again, they should be mainstream, man. I don't understand. Titanfall's your closest, but that's nowhere near as good as MechWarrior.
How much fun was it just being in a fucking mech
it was
blowing
fucking
shit
awesome.
up?
It was awesome.
I mean, there's nothing better than that, which is obviously the appeal of Titanfall.
I love MechWarrior so much as a game. I thought that was really, really cool.
It was mind-blowing.
And this is why Titanfall original, the first game, was such a missed opportunity, because they could have easily combined the MechWarrior kind of gameplay with the storyline.
MechWarrior 5.
That's the one I'm thinking of. That's MechWarrior 5. That's the one.
Fuck me.
That's in early access.
Ooh, hello.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking
September
of.
10th,
That's what I'm thinking of.
2019.
MechWarrior 5. That's what I'm thinking of.
That's
the one that I...
horrible website.
Yeah. But you know why? Because it wasn't... they had to go Kickstarter on it.
But you can still make a decent fucking website.
Yeah, I'm sure...
$120.
I'm sure it was Kickstarter. Ooh. I could be wrong on that too. But MechWarrior 5 is the one I was thinking of before.
Yeah, unreal. Nice.
And from what I'm hearing from the nerds that have played it, it's really good.
It's the shit?
Yeah. So I think that could
Give me.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good...
Take my money.
Yeah.
As long as I can play it on PC, mate.
Yeah, it's a PC game.
Yeah,
it's one. It's. I think it's only a PC game.
Even better.
I don't know a lot about it, but I'm
going to Google the fuck out of
Yeah,
it.
I'm...
If I can get access to that bad boy today, mate, I'm on it.
It's pre-order.
I don't give a fuck.
But it's not pre-order. Again, I think it's
a demo?
It's early access.
Yeah, give me early. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I'm sure it's early access. I don't think it's going to have a... I think retail releases that 19th of September, whatever it was.
It's the 10th of September.
Yeah.
That's ages away.
It's ages
miles
away.
Man.
But I think it's been...
I need to blow shit up.
I think it's been in early access, because I know some people on YouTube have been playing it, and their impressions of it are pretty favourable. But MechWarrior was a really cool game that we played on that AMD PC, and I loved it. And that was as close as I got to Robotech as a video game back then. Until the PS2 would get that Battle Cry game.
Because it did feel like Robotech, because you were in a... Oh, yeah, give me those graphics.
Yeah, that's it.
Get me.
That's it, man.
Oh.
MechWarrior 2. It's a shit.
Fuck. Click on that.
Oh,
Yeah.
tiny.
But you know what? You laugh at that now.
How cool was that?
You laugh at that now.
Right,
You laugh at that now. But back then it was a shit. I'm telling you now, that was cutting edge.
Oh yeah, it was
And
Look at those polygons.
and you needed a beast machine to run that.
Oh, yeah.
So that was also a testament to how good your PC was back then too. If you could run that really at high detail with good frame rates, you were like, you've got a good PC back in those days.
Look at those textures.
You know why? They're Gorad. Was it Gurad? Gurad shaded.
It's unreal.
Yeah. MechWarrior was awesome.
I want to play it now.
Yeah. Did you get Ace Combat yet?
No, I haven't got Ace Combat yet. It's on my... that's a Macross throwback, that thing. Because it's massively Japanese.
Yeah, Ace Combat is massively Japanese.
And it's like you're flying one of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, that's
right?
that's why whenever I look at like games like that, I think of Macross or I think of Robotech.
Yeah. So I'm so nerdy, I play like legit flight simulators.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing.
It's such a missed
Like
opportunity.
legit flight
Yeah,
simulators,
he's a fucking nerd.
the full thing, air traffic
He
control.
wanted to be a
I wanted to be a pilot, but my eyes don't work.
I was just thinking the same thing because like now I'm gainfully unemployed, and I'm thinking I should just go get my pilot's license. Like just do a full on.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. I got some mates that are pilots.
Head out to Bathurst down there. They do training down there.
Yeah.
And just spend
Or
a couple
Camden.
of weeks.
Or you know what else you could do? Just play Ace Combat 7. Fucking hell.
No, a real aeroplane. That's even better.
This is real.
I don't know, man. I've been playing like essentially virtual fighter pilot simulator software, and that is the shit. And you see it on YouTube as well, where actual F-18 pilots get on there and they have a bit of a burl. And it's if I had the VR headset for the PC, you could totally run it full VR.
Oh, nice.
Well,
I've got the rig for
on
it.
the
I just don't have
PS4
it.
for at least a year. Ace Combat 7 has a VR component to it, and I believe it's really, really good.
Yeah,
it
it makes you feel sick about it.
Yeah, I can't do it because I'll throw up because that's what it does to me. VR just does that to me. But
Yeah.
I think that would be unreal experience.
Mate,
you know?
I just want a PC VR headset now, just to play my flight sims.
Well, they're attainable. You can get them.
Yeah.
Oculus and what's the other one? Vive.
Yeah, just depends on the. This podcast actually doesn't make any money. It's a cost center.
You know why? Because we've only got 2 people that listen to us, and I think we should wrap this bad boy up because I'm busting for a piss.
You're busting for a piss. I'm out of caffeine. I need a coffee. Yeah, how do you want to finish it off?
Well, I just want to say that.
Didn't we finish it off last time?
No, we're going to finish. Oh, well, you can edit all of this out, I'm sure.
I'm going to edit it out.
No, I think for me, my favourite, I want to talk more extensively with other people in detail for an episode on anime because there's a lot of anime. Because I could start talking movies like Google it now. One of my favourite anime movies
Ninja
is
Scroll.
Well, Ninja Scroll was one of the first movies that I saw that blew my mind, that and Akira. But the one I really, really dug as a really amazing fucking story, and I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, is
Pronunciation.
Pronunciation.
But
Fuck
it's ironic.
off.
I like it.
Enunciate your words correctly now.
Well, I've got half a brain in a jar somewhere, so you have...
I'm sorry, that was just the perfect opportunity.
What was it, the movie?
Wings of the Homines.
Oh, I am familiar with it.
It's really...
Wings of the hot.
That's it. The third one down.
Of the mayonnaise.
Of the mayonnaise. Wings of the mayonnaise.
Wings of the mayonnaise.
This is a story about a planet that's ready for space flight.
Oh, sweet.
And so it's not based on Earth, but this race of people are on a planet that are ready for space flight. And if you just quickly Wikipedia it, so I'm not completely butchering the storyline of it. Oh, come on, for fuck's sake. Why do you make it so big? Now I can't read it.
Because I can't fucking see it.
Go down a plot. That would fucking help, wouldn't it? And he's giving me shit over pronunciation. Fuck off.
On an alternate Earth.
On an alternate Earth, an
Real
individual
civilization.
civilization is flourishing and impending war between 2 bordering nations. That's right. So there's a massive war that's been going
Kingdom
on.
of Hollandaise and the Republic.
Hollandaise.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one.
Making me hungry.
Shirot.
I'm hungry too.
Oh my god, the name of the guy. Shirot Suchlachdat. Uh-huh.
The big plot with this movie is that there's been a really long-standing war and feud between 2 major nations on this planet, and it's really decimated them. However, it hasn't, on one nation, based on this planet, they've proceeded with a space program and they're very close to going into space. And what's holding them back is this conflict that they have with an alternative nation. And so the story's based on I think he's an astronaut, and it's the impact of him going into space and on his family and this war that's going on this planet. I can't concentrate with him putting Worf into a sexual position. He looks like he's giving Britai a blowjob, and I can't do it. And now Picard's gone in, and it's a 69 affair.
What is going on? Can I just... what the fuck is going on there with Geordie LaForge and Captain Picard?
Oh, you know that's what was going on.
Hey, what have you done?
You
I
know it.
took a photo. I'm going to tweet that shit.
Oh, that's weird.
Oh, it's legit. You ever watch that show?
Make it so.
Come on, you can't tell me that wasn't going on in the
Look.
in the captain's
There's been
wardroom.
a lot of people have been saying for years and years and years that Picard was a bit weird because he always had women throwing themselves at him, right? Whereas Kirk would just basically bang anything that moved.
Yep, human or otherwise.
Don't get me wrong, Picard had his fair share of love interests too, and some of them were
Pretty
hot.
much every episode.
Well, I'll tell you, the hottest one was that chick called Vash.
There?
Yeah,
Vash.
Well, let me tell you the story about how much of a loser Captain Picard is, right? Because she liked Captain Picard, but he said, "Oh no, I'm a captain. I love the Enterprise more," and she ended up going off with Q. Remember
Really?
Q?
With Q, yeah.
Remember Q? So Q ended up taking her onto adventures because she was actually a adventurer. She was like Lara Croft, the Tomb Raider. She liked to go and do adventures with Lara, like raiding archaeological sites. And so she really liked Picard because he was into the archaeology as well. That was one of his side stories. But she really chased him. And look at what she's fucking wearing there. That's crazy.
Oh, what she's not wearing there.
That's the maid lady. That was the maid lady in the 80s. I'm telling you now. And so she was chasing Picard like you wouldn't believe. But he goes, "No, I'm in love with the Enterprise."
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that
really.
old line?
That was in about season 4 that she got. I think she was on season 4 on Next Generation, and she was really into the Picard, and he knocked her back. And
That voice.
what? Patrick
Picard.
Stewart's.
Patrick Stewart.
Oh, he's got the best.
He could talk his way into anything.
He's the best. Mate. The guy is the. Can I tell you about Patrick Stewart? How much of a beast he is? He was at one of the Grand Prix last year for the F1. I think it was Canada, and he got up on the podium on the rostrum to do the post interviews. The guy is amazing because he's well into his 80s now. Like I think he's late 80s, and they want to sign him on for a new Star Trek series.
Really?
Have you heard this, Pottery Pete?
What's this?
Yeah. So I have, and by the way, folks, the two people who are listening, I have not Googled any of this shit.
No, this
Right?
is completely ad hoc.
I'm pulling this out of my ass, but this is what I know: that CBS and CBS Online in America, they want to produce another show, and they're trying to get Picard to come back. But what people don't know yet is whether or not Picard's coming back as, or Patrick Stewart, I should say, is coming back as Picard after Next Generation timeline or some weird alternate universe Picard. It's a real the story of Star Trek as it is in the modern era is actually quite interesting for real nerdy shit, where CBS and Paramount are at loggerheads because of the ownership of the actual series. Because CBS actually are producing the latest Star Trek series.
Is that the Netflix one?
Yes, but it's only Netflix here because we don't have access to CBS Online in America.
Which is why they only release it weekly.
Yeah.
Whereas Netflix, typically, you get the whole series to binge on. It's one thing there's many things that shit me about that particular series.
Yeah, the
fact that it's garbage is point number one. The point that you have to wait each week to watch an episode, I'm over that.
Well, the story
I don't
is
have
that
the
they wanted to produce a new series, CBS did, to try and get people interested onto their new CBS Online streaming service. But that's only available in America or North America, as far as I'm aware. And so outside of the North American region, you can only get it on Netflix. So they gave Netflix a lot of money to show this new Star Trek series, which is an absolute fucking debacle. I don't fucking care. I'm gonna give MIA $20 now. Fuck it, right? Because I don't give a shit. That show is bullshit. That new Star Trek show.
Oh, it's garbage.
Right? It's a J.J. Abrams wannabe bullshit show. Now it's based on what's called the. It's not the Prime timeline. The Prime timeline is the one that we all know, the one with Kirk and Spock
and all the rest.
and then Picard,
But
and then even the Kelvin timeline. That's the one.
Okay.
That's the alternate timeline. So the Prime timeline is the one that we know well. That's the one with Kirk and Spock, Picard and Riker and Data, and then DS9, which is
DS9 was boring.
No, I didn't mind it. It got very interesting towards the end.
Yeah, I
There's
gave
a lot
up.
more politics in it.
Yeah.
and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. But Commander Sisko, right? He actually becomes very interesting as the timeline goes on. When the Dominion War and all that sort of stuff, it's actually pretty cool. But yeah, the first season's rubbish. Well, no, that's not fair either, because the first season sets up the rest of the show very, very well. It just takes some time to get into.
It's just
and there are some weakish episodes, but generally it's a lot better than the first season of Next Generation, because the first season of Next Generation is pretty poor. So what's happening now in the world of Star Trek, and this is very, very brief. I haven't done a lot of research on it, but there's two timelines that we are aware of. There's the Prime timeline, which is the one we all know, and there's this timeline called Kelvin. And that's the one that the J.J. Abrams movies were based on. Okay, so you know the rebooted movies? That's based on the Kelvin timeline, which is the one where they supposedly annihilated the planet Vulcan, so the Vulcans don't have a planet anymore. That's why things look a little bit different. And the reason that exists, very high level, is because CBS don't have the rights to the to the Prime timeline. And it's because Paramount, who own the Prime timeline,
won't give it up.
They won't give it up because you know why? They are the ones that have the rights to sell the toys, the action figures, right? So they haven't come to an agreement between Paramount and CBS as to who's going to do what, okay? So Paramount, by the way, are basically bankrupt. I didn't know any of this. I've done some very, very brief reading on it, and I'm sure I'm getting things wrong, but I don't care. This is what I know. And I'm not Googling it, as you can see, right? So what I know is that Paramount don't have the money at the moment to produce a brand new Star Trek movie or even a brand new Star Trek TV series that would continue the Next Generation timeline or the Prime timeline, I should say, right? But CBS do. And CBS wanted a really big, or in their opinion, big franchise to promote CBS Online, which we compete with Netflix in America anyway, or North America. And so they got the rights to the Kelvin timeline. And this is the timeline that you're seeing the new Star Trek series being based on, which makes no sense at all.
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
And the movies, by the way, CBS were behind those movies, and they wanted those movies to also reinvigorate this franchise and for CBS to make quite a bit of money on. And so, again, Paramount wouldn't give them the full rights to Star Trek for the Prime timeline. So you couldn't have a movie with the original cast, for example. Even though they're old, they can't do it anyway. And particularly the first series, most of them have passed away. But what I'm saying is they couldn't do a continuation of the Next Generation timeline. They had to reboot it. And the only way CBS could reboot it is by creating this thing called the Kelvin timeline. It's an alternate universe timeline, right? It's very, very confusing, and I know I'm fucking it up, and I know there's probably one person out of the two people that listen who's a diehard Star Trek fan that's going, "You got it wrong, Retro Dan! You got it wrong!" Well, here's another $1 for the swear jar. Fuck off. I don't fucking care. There's $2. Fuck off. That's $3, right? So, the point is that it's at loggerheads now, Pottery Pete, right? So what I want, and what I think a lot of people want, is they want a continuation of Picard's story after the Enterprise D, or maybe the E actually, because the E was in the movies, because the D got destroyed in the first movie. First movie. We're not likely to get it because the studio that owns that timeline can't produce the movie because they don't have the money, and CBS, who does have the money,
doesn't have the license.
They actually don't want to put it on the movies much either. They want to put it in the home via their streaming service, which is CBS Online. And outside of that, they gave Netflix a heap of money so people outside of the Americas could watch it. But here's the bigger fuck up. There was going to be a Star Trek 4. So you know how there's been 3 movies that have been under the Kelvin timeline that have been rebooted?
Yeah.
The 4th one has been cancelled. And the reason for that is because the actors, which was Chris Pine... No, it's not those guys. You've Googled the wrong fucking shit. Just go Zachary Quinto.
Yeah, because I clearly fucking Googled it wrong. It's literally the first
No, it wasn't.
result.
Google Images just doesn't work right. That's all.
Yeah, Google Images is what I was looking at.
But that's literally the first result.
all right, Zach. All right, don't get pissy.
Get pissy.
Don't get.
I think I've got right to fucking
Don't
get pissy.
don't
there.
get
Pissy.
pissy.
You
Go
don't-
fuck yourself.
Oh, we're getting pissy today, aren't we? Zachary
It's
Quinto
worth getting pissy about.
has also walked, and the other thing was they were going to get the guy that plays Thor, which is Chris Hemsworth. Now, remember in the first movie of the rebooted movies, the J.J. Abrams movies, Chris Hemsworth was in that movie. He played Kirk's father, but he gets killed in the explosion of the starship that he's commanding. Do you remember?
Nope.
Yes, he does. Right at the start of that movie.
Yep.
But what happened was, because CBS couldn't get a lot of money and they had to cut their budget to make this movie, they went to the actors and said, we can't give you the salary you want. And in fact, we're going to give you less than what you got for your last movies.
Yeah, they're all gonna go. Yeah, nah.
So that's exactly what they did. So
Because they don't do it for the love.
So
Let's
it's
be
a job,
honest.
isn't it?
It's a job, man.
So that's what happened.
Yeah.
Chris Pine,
They all
Zachary
walked.
Quinto, and guess what? Chris Hemsworth. They all went, no, we're not interested. Okay, and so the movie's got canned. It took a while. They were going to try and do some other shit with it, but it got canned. But going back to the Star Trek TV series, the new one, the bullshit one that's on Netflix, there's some kind of, and I've not Googled it. Okay, I'm telling you now, I haven't Googled it, but this is what I have seen, is that they've somehow convinced Patrick Stewart at the age of 88 or 89 or whatever it is. He's quite elderly. He doesn't look it. He's a beast, but he's not a young guy.
He's not a young guy anymore. Yeah.
He said he would do it, right? So they've somehow convinced Patrick Stewart to do it. And as Captain Picard, but it's going to be in an alternative universe. It's going to be in the Kelvin timeline, the alternative universe timeline, and they've somehow convinced Patrick Stewart to do it as Captain Picard. So it's not going to be the Captain Picard that you want, is what I'm saying.
It's parallel universe kind of
It's
thing.
going to be a parallel universe
That's the
one.
way it's running now, because you've got, they're talking about Spock and...
Yeah, Spock's coming back in, which how are they going to do that? They're not-
Yeah, so...
I mean, who's going to play Spock?
Well,
It'll be the third Spock?
Again, that's the thing. No one's really answered those questions.
Yeah, because the main character's Spock's, spoiler alert, Spock's sister.
Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, but it means they've got someone lined up, so we're probably already in the can. They've already filmed.
They've already
whatever's-
figured it all out, yeah.
You can't just have this mystery Spock.
So the whole-
Never going to show up.
So-
And he's in some mental
Cloaked.
asylum or something like
Yeah,
that. It makes no sense.
So what really upsets me is that when I go back to 2008 or 2009 when the first movie got released, the one with Chris Pine in it and Zachary Quinto, I actually liked that movie, the one that J.J. Abrams directed. I wasn't...
Lens flare and all.
Yeah, I know, he loves lens flare, but here's the thing. I actually...
It's new. It's fabulous.
I liked the idea of they rebooted the series. I wanted a continuation of the Prime timeline, but I knew I wasn't going to get it. But I actually think they achieved what they wanted to achieve, which is reboot the franchise and make it popular and cool again. But then the subsequent movies weren't as good, and in fact they got worse as time went on. Right,
Yeah.
the second movie, and I think it's Into Darkness, was quite good. But the third movie was terrible, written by Simon Pegg, or co-written by Simon Pegg. That was shit. I don't care what anyone says. And what upsets me is he claims he's a fan of Star Trek, but if you're a fan of Star Trek and you co-wrote that, you got something to fucking think about, in my opinion. That's just my theory on it. So now the whole thing, which started off as being reinvigorated back at 10 years ago, roughly, is now in the real shit now because Star Trek 4 has been cancelled as a movie, and the series, which is a Kelvin-based timeline series on Netflix or CBS Online in the Americas, is absolutely fucking shit. And I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. I'll take the Pepsi challenge and I'll fucking debate anyone on it.
But you don't
it's
like the
shit.
Spore Drive? Because that's so awesome.
Oh, that's fucking crap. We get an alien. Do you know that's plagiarism?
Really? Beautiful.
They're in court over that.
Really?
Google
the Spore
that.
Drive?
Google that. That's no bullshit. They're in court.
Who'd they steal that off?
They stole it off a science fiction writer.
Oh.
I am absolutely telling you the truth. I am not making that up. They're in real shit over that. So you know how they get the alien?
Yep.
And they basically capture the alien and they get the spores off the alien to make energy. Well, that is actually considered to be plagiarism. So an author's come out and said, you stole my story. That's no bullshit.
Yeah, I'll find that shit.
No, you got to Google that.
Yeah.
That's a bullshit Google string that you put in.
Yeah, right. Fucking hell.
So you do Star Trek, Spore Drive, whatever it is,
Rip-off.
plagiarism or rip-off.
Rip-off.
You got to think like sci-fi people.
There you go.
It's a rip-off.
CBS being sued, stealing Star Trek Discovery plot from video game.
Oh, no.
So that's legit.
A video game?
From a video game of all things.
Yeah, that makes it really obvious.
Yeah, I didn't know. I couldn't remember where it was stolen from, but I do know that it was a well-established story. And so they're in real shit.
Game? Curious about that one now. Jeez. No, look, they'll have to get Seth MacFarlane on board because he'll fix it right up.
What's that one that he's
The Orville.
It's
That's
actually
hilarious.
It's very funny.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I love what he's done.
But they're in a bit of shit now, CBS, because they were going down that path of they're stealing aliens to generate power, and that's what I hated about Star Trek was the fact that they were being so non-Star Trek in terms of what the original vision that Gene Roddenberry had. They were doing really unethical things. They were capturing this alien. They were taking the alien's spores without the alien's permission, or even, discussing or having any form of diplomacy. And actually, a lot of nerds are saying that what they really want, what they actually associate the prime timeline with, is it's called the diplomatic timeline. That's when Star Trek would be known as, if you meet an alien species, you'd try diplomacy before you do anything else. In this timeline, no one gives a fuck. They just go in and do whatever they want.
Yeah,
and they're actually they're really aggressive. They're space pirates, all sorts of shit.
Yeah, now they got this black thing, this like black ops kind of.
It's
just like, oh, it really goes against the universe.
Absolutely. So everything that Star Trek was based on, whether you like it or not, this series does everything it possibly can to fuck it up.
Yeah.
And that's what I hate about it.
Yeah.
And I was almost really happy and cheering the fact that lawsuit came about, because I wasn't aware that it was plagiarism. I didn't know that much. But to me, I'm glad that it is plagiarism, because I'm thinking that proves that you've got no idea how to write this TV show. Because for one, else. I thought it was a fucking stupid thing anyway. How ridiculous is it to get an alien and extract spores from it to generate power? Come on, even I'm not that fucking stupid.
It takes a lot of cocaine to get
exactly. And number two, you've been caught out that you're even more fucking unoriginal, that you actually plagiarized it. So you didn't it's not like it was a good story to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's
if
clever.
It was a fantastic story and
you go, okay,
you go,
fine.
fair enough.
You got caught out.
Pay the guy some money.
So what if they stole some great stories from Space 1999, and I'll bang the drum on that shit. Or Battlestar Galactica, that's another one, right? Oh, no. We'll steal it from a video game that no one's really, thought of for a long time, and that story was total bullshit and unbelievable anyway, and we'll try and insult people's intelligence and put it in the fucking TV show.
Yeah, clearly the game was not great.
Well, I don't know
because little known game 2014 was when it was released.
I don't know what the game is.
Tardigrade.
I don't know what the game is, but But you got to say even Star Trek.
Tardigrade. So that's literally ripped off like a really obvious.
They've ripped it off 100%, and they've been caught out. They're done.
Quite literally.
They're done. You know how badly they've been done? All the writers that wrote the first season, they're gone. They got sacked over it. No bullshit. If you Google that further, you'll find that most of the people that were behind the first season of that show
got canned.
Got their ass. Yep, they got their ass kicked because they got caught out. Because CBS said, "Look, here, they're executives, mate. They don't write this shit. They've given a bunch of money to these people to write the show and direct it and produce it and all that stuff. And what do? They turn around and go, "Oh, this is a fantastic idea," or "I don't have any ideas," but no one's that fucking smart that they'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I can't believe that happened. That's another kick in the bum for Star Trek fans. That really is. That's really bad.
On that note,
thank you very much for your patronage. This has been episode 9. We do love you. Even the person that said that you should burn your Robotech dolls, I do love you, even though I'm indifferent and I don't agree with your comment. And you can get fucked because I'm not burning my Robotech dolls. Thank you, Mum, for letting us use your basement. Thank you to the snake catcher.
that was amazing.
Who's come out and caught a snake and made me feel very indifferent about my sexuality because I'm like...
different about your sexuality?
Well, she made me question everything. I should be catching the snake.
Whoa, hang on.
Maybe I shouldn't be catching this. No, that's weird.
There's something right about chicks being good with snakes. Not.
Actually, that is right. If she's good with a snake. This has been episode number 9 of Invert the Y. Thank you very much for your patronage. We love you. We're going out. Roll it, monkeys!